Yeah, that's the one thing about Nate Smith is he's not afraid to get out there and do some work in the boat and judging and even driving some, I think, now.
You don't always see that. Luckily in our sport, the best jumper in the world, yourself, is doing the same type of stuff, volunteering his time, and Nate has learned from guys like you and others, and he's picked up the baton and he's running with it.
Yeah, which is good to see. That's you want to see that. You want to see that. You want to see the younger generations, hopefully following the right path. As we see Kate Adrianson coming on the course at 32 off, looking smooth and strong. I think Kate a little frustrated yesterday that she didn't get a little farther through the 38, or actually all the way through it. A
little
big 5-ball. And I was just about to say that yesterday what we saw with Kate was that tendency to drop the head and shoulders to the inside and fall in. And, right there, I don't want to say she got lucky, but she got lucky that she got picked up by the boat when she did, because another quarter of a second, she would have been over so far, that would have been very hard to hold on to.
Even though it's 32 off, anything can happen. And what that indicates to me, it's a couple things. But it doesn't matter why. When you go and you tip in with your shoulders in your head, one thing that's not happening when you do that is your mass is moving to the inside, but your ski edge is not increasing, because your upper body's falling over, but your legs and your hips are staying at the same angle relative to the ski. So what happens is the ski ends up running on you, and you're waiting for the ski to come in, but you're not increasing the edge angle of the ski, so it has no reason to come in. So it's this negative feedback loop, and you get lucky sometimes like that. It's 32 off, you can recover, but if that happens at 38 off or you're even 39, it's really hard to recover from that.
Absolutely. Okay, so here we are, Whitney McClintock, 35 off. Her second pass, she chose to not ski the 28 off, rolled the dice a little, if you will. And our first skier, 35 off, nice 1-ball. Very smooth, very comfortable. Whitney definitely ate her Wheaties this morning. Or actually, I think she's on a
vegetarian.
Yeah, vegetarian diet, but it's like a base diet, a non-acidic type diet. A lot of
there is something
kale and seaweed or something.
Well, whatever she's eating, she's looking strong.
Yeah, no, she's good. She's not having any strength issues. Is not, the diet isn't working against her. She is. I saw her just crawl up on the back of the boat there. Again, our athletes, they do have the opportunity to do that. They can sit on the back of the boat and get out of the cooler water. I think you'll see that go both ways. That some of the athletes don't want to expend the energy and climbing up and down. Feel like maybe it torques them in their bindings or whatever. Other athletes can't get up there fast enough. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so Kate Adrianson, a little bit of bobble at a bobble at 5. Had a little bit of a bobble, honestly, at 3. So it's going to be on her mind a little bit here to try and clean that up here at 35 off, not let that head drop in and move ahead of the ski. So
she's a strong skier, though. She can have moments like that and recover better than most in the world right now. So she's going to try to clean it up so she can go into 38 with confidence.
So here we go. Kate Adrianson, 35 off. Good out of 1. Deep out of 2.
Wow, she made it up at 3.
Wow, unbelievable. Big at 4.
That's the kind of strength you need to pull out.
Wow. Let's get her reaction here. She, she's torquing the arm a little bit there. So maybe it's not so much offside or onside as it's just this our side of the leg that she's struggling with here, because she gets out of 1 good.
Man, that was
a
big 1.
Went to the tail.
And a big 2.
But, man, I cannot believe she got outside a 3-ball there and turned that well. That was
recovery.
Absolutely amazing. So, okay. So
that's what experience does for you, though. Because in practice, I'm sure any one of these girls might be able to pull that out. But in a tournament situation, as soon as that happens, you're out of your head, potentially.
Yeah.
And then you're like, uh-oh, I'm going to fall at 3. And then most times it's a tough recovery to make up from.
Well, and I think, as we've been watching Whitney just so easily and so smoothly run through these passes, and here's Kate, it's been a bit of a scrap fest, with all due respect. I mean, but I think she would agree with that. But
she's laughing.
She's laughing, but she's still in this.
Yep.
I mean, that's the thing is it doesn't matter how pretty. It again goes back to yesterday, style versus technique.
Yep.
Style doesn't matter. Technique got her through the pass.
Yep.
So here we go, 38 off. Whitney McClintock. Probably feeling the pressure to get through this pass since Kate's behind her. A little bit of tip rise out of 1, no big concern. Really, I've been very impressed with Whitney's 2.4s all through yesterday and again today. Very, for a left foot forward skier, she's almost getting more direction out of that offside,
2.4, yeah.
And that's not common. So we have Whitney through the 38 off, still looking smooth and strong.
One thing I will say, sorry.
No.
One thing I will say is great 3 event skiers, I feel like have better touch and feel on that offside than do people like myself who really never did anything but slalom. Because, especially tricks, because if you learn to edge and load and unload and manage to move efficiently on a trick ski where you have no fin,
right,
you have more sensitivity, I believe.
Well, if we go back to your earlier comment about that your upper body, when you lean in with your upper body, your lower body and your edge isn't increasing, so you're sending the ski down the lake while you're moving inside, demanding a tighter radius. If you have any trick background at all, which Regina Jaquist, Whitney McClintock do, Manon Costard does, Karen a little bit, but not nearly like these other girls. The one thing that you have to learn very quickly on a trick ski is you can never lead with your head. That ski will just slide out to the side. So they learn to move their hips, like you're saying, to the inside, keeping them under that inside shoulder that's closest to the wake as you're making that turn, and it rolls the ski onto an edge without dropping over.
Especially on that offside.
Okay, so Kate Adrianson, 38 off, has not looked settled this round. Let's see what she can do here. It can be a light switch, though. It can turn on and off. Little movement there at 1, but she's still in this pass. That is not what she's looking for.
That was not what she wanted, but you see her trying to get a full 3 because she knows.
Yeah, and I don't have a radio today like I did yesterday to get the official score here. Okay, so we do have a confirmed 3 at 38 off for Kate, so that will move her ahead of Bailey. Obviously not what Kate's wanting to do, but getting that full 3 was very important because, again, the 4 athletes that do not move on, we will compare their scores, and they will be fighting for spots 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and that's going to be for elite points. That's going to be for cash prize, pride, all things considered.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, this next pairing, I'm going to go ahead and...
So, as you see, Whitney is electing to not continue to ski.
Wow.
And save herself for the next round, which is more what I would tend to do.
Thank you. Surprises me, though. Typically, she takes a shot at it. But, again, we saw her ski as smooth and solid as we've seen her all weekend. So, maybe she's... feeling just that confident. Okay, so our next pairing is going to be Karen Truelove versus Michaela Hall. And I'm going to go ahead and tell our folks at home that obviously with Karen being my wife, I do have a vested interest in this.
Of course.
And
disclaimer.
Disclaimer, yeah, disclaimer. And if I have trouble talking, it's because I can no longer form saliva in my mouth from being nervous. So. But here we go, 28 off, Karen Truelove. First skier to run 38 off yesterday.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, I guess she's been back and forth. She'll start at 28 or 32.
Yes, she has. She's gone both ways in her career, and she'll typically uses the 32 as an opportunity to, as you said, kind of control maybe wind conditions or just conditions in general. But that was a good, solid start there for Karen. We kind of had the discussion yesterday that Karen she moves so little that oftentimes it's hard for me to tell the difference between when she feels settled in and solid versus nervous and skatey. I mean, it's so hard to tell the difference.
Her variance when she's skiing good versus skiing bad is not as wide as another skier. You know, it's hard to tell if she's being tentative or if she's being, but that's just a testament to how still she is with her movement, like you said, with her upper body.
So Karen Truelove is through. I will be watching closely here for Michaela to come through and see how she starts. Yesterday looked very solid through her early passes, but today we've seen really kind of Bailey struggling a little bit early, Kate struggling a little bit earlier. Now Karen looks settled in, but we need to see what Michaela's going to do is see if we can see any patterns on these early passes. But this is a local girl. This is her home site. She's got the crowd behind her. She's familiar with the boats. She's familiar with the drivers. She's got Greg Badal driving her, which she's probably skied behind him a couple hundred times over her career. First time we've seen Michaela this year at a pro event. She did not make the trips for the other events, and I'm not sure if that has to do with how she's been skiing or life in general, school. Yeah. Perhaps there's a significant other. Don't know, but
never know. But the rad thing is that she's made it through to the top 8. And
yeah.
She's able to ski in front of her home crowd.
Absolutely.
And put it out there.
So here we go. Michaela Hall, 28 off. Nice one. Skiing on the radar, which we've seen out of Whitney as well. She very smooth through the 6. That was good. She looked good and settled.
Looked really good.
Yeah. So she's again very comfortable skiing here. This is her home site, and look, she's excited about the opportunity.
Conditions could not be any better at the moment.
Okay, so Karen Truelove will be coming back in at 32 off. And again, these girls yesterday, Karen ran 1 at 39 in the first round. Was the first girl to run 38 in the tournament. Second round had a beautiful start. Both 1 and 2 at 38, came in early at 3. But just fell to the inside a little bit, which we had a lot of conversations yesterday about issues at 3-ball, and ended up getting the ski tip over the rope, and it took her down. But Michaela Hall, on the other hand, ran 3.5 at 38 the first round and 3, I believe, the second round. So was very consistent and actually beat Karen by a half a buoy in that second round yesterday. So this is going to be a good pairing. We see Karen coming in here, looks good and solid at 1 and 2.
Making it look pretty easy.
Yeah. I like to see that with Karen right there where she came off a 5-ball when she's
attacking
just really quick, and she's not waiting for the boat to pick her up and help her to the other side. She's moving through very quickly.
Sometimes I've seen that where Karen she'll end up being stuck kind of on the back of the ski, if you will.
Right.
And she knows she's going to run the pass, but that's an indication to me that she's a bit tentative or reserved. Right there you see she comes out of 5 and she's already moving towards the wakes and dynamically being aggressive, and I think that's a good sign. It looks like she's being offensive. And
I think one of the things that Karen is, that as any athlete, the most frustrating thing in the world is when you feel like you do everything right. And yesterday in that second round at the start at 38, she did everything right. Like it was a beautiful start. You expect at that point in time that you're going to just keep it going down the lake. And so when she fell at 3, it was a bit of a it's a frustration. I mean, and we've all been there. I just had a good start. How did I fall down? Or and so for her, I think it'd be very important today to see her keep attacking. Don't get there and get defensive. Don't play it safe. Just keep going. Drive through. Trust yourself. She'll be good. Okay, here's Michaela Hall, 32 off. Second pass, second skier, so she must out-ski Karen by at least a quarter of a buoy if she's going to advance. Nice start.
35 off. Wait, no, 32 off. Sorry,
32
my bad.
off. No worries.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Getting excited.
Yep.
So nice. Yep, good pass, as we would expect from Michaela there. Good and smooth.
So, can you tell me what year did Karen run 11 meters, 38 off for the first time? Could you figure that out in your head? I just want to know how long she's been running 38 off.
Carry the one.
Carry the one. Remainder 3.
Yeah, let's see.
It's got to be like quite a long time.
This is going to be like what's the old dating game or the married couple or whatever it was for the husband and wife.
See if you get it right. Like, this is not a test though. You can be wrong.
I can be wrong. Okay, if I had to put my finger on it, put a guess on it, I'm going to say it was in the 98-99 time frame.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was fall of 98 or fall of 99, to be honest with you. But we're going on 20 years.
She's been running it for a while.
You know, we're in the 17, 18 years ballpark that she's been running the pass. And okay, so here we go. Karen Truelove, 35 off. Looking for a good gate and one. Off of one ball, very nice. Okay.
Looking pretty smooth.
Yeah, a little more of a, say, stop and go, if you will. Yeah. I think that kind of came out of the one. She went a little hard on the gate, maybe a little early.
Yep.
And brought her in with a little extra speed. So where I was talking about, where we saw that from behind angle at 32, where she turned and she's real quick off the backside of the buoy. There's a little bit more of a hesitation, having to wait for the line and then go, but still very, very much up course. And quite honestly, Karen's very comfortable skiing that way.
Yeah.
That's typically more of what, now she's trying to obviously make that conversion to quick and fluid and the line's tight and moving through. That's still a very nice pass, but we want to see that, at least that, as she's coming back in at 38. So,
we talk a lot about experience, and sometimes it's hard to quantify what does experience get you, or what does experience mean. And to me, one of the things experience does is a girl like Karen, she's been running 38 off, like we said, almost 2 decades. So she can go out, and she knows she doesn't have to be perfect early on.
Right.
So she's using those earlier passes to kind of dial herself in.
Well, and Karen,
and that's what one of the advantages to experience is you can work towards the movements and the way you want to ski, so by the time you get to 38 and 39, you're there. Whereas a younger skier sometimes has to try to be perfect from the start.
Right. And I'll add to that a little bit here as we want to see Michaela start here at 35 off. Nice job at 1. Looks solid off 2. Good and early. Very nice pass. Checked it up a little bit at 5. Yeah. Good 6. Yeah, good. So Michaela's through. We're going to bring this down to 38. So the thing with Karen is her gates in 1 have never been her strong point. She is what I would kind of consider a true right foot forward skier, where a lot of times, even when dealing with Andy Mapple, where he would talk about, Andy was always big on that the gates weren't so important. Get yourself around 1, get over 2, and start the course. And Karen's, that's worked her entire career. I think where that works against her a little bit, or has, and that's why she's trying to make the change, is that with 0 off, that rhythm that you start with is imperative.
Yep.
Because
it perpetuates
absolutely
whatever you start with. So if you have a pull long or a slow gate where you end up being actually too fast at the buoy and you stop the ski and have to get going again, then you have that rhythm to carry, and it's hard to get back to the rhythm you want to.
Right. So Karen's had to deal with that, obviously, and try to improve on that. And I think that was what was so frustrating yesterday for her, is that she executed it perfectly, and she did it, and then went down, and so her frustration there. So here we are, Karen 38 off, wants to get all the way through this pass, of course. Really put the pressure on Michaela. Okay, nice one.
She's staying calm. Tail turn 3 just
good,
a little bit.
A little bit, but That's all right. She's got a solid 4 here. 5. Inside of 6.
She didn't get the 4 ball she needed after.
No, that 3. And I'm going to, I mean, I don't think we can avoid the conversation in that 3 is I was looking through the camera here. I had a little trouble seeing it. She, as you said, tail turned it a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe we'll see it here in the replay. She tail turned that a little bit. Was probably a little bit conservative after what she had yesterday.
Exactly.
And
I
knowing
guarantee
again.
you that was on her mind from yesterday. She had some residual because she looked good.
Yeah.
Through 1 and 2. A little bit on the back, but she's still fine. She's early at 3, and she had just a little bit of a slow.
Yeah, and then I think she, as you said, she needed a little bit more out of 4. And I also know that Karen's very calculating, and she obviously she knows that Michaela can run this pass, but she's also knows that
She's
Michaela
not skiing against Witt or Regina
right
at the moment.
And Michaela ran between 3 and 4 yesterday, 3 to 3.5. So she's basically at that point says, hey, I can't go down at 3. I can't go down at 4.
5.
Let me get that 5. And at that point in time. So
even 5, like she could have potentially tried to turn 5, but she knew that 5 is better than 4.5.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, here we go. Michaela Hall has to get a piece of 6 to move on. Has looked strong this morning. Oh.
That's not going to do it.
Dove it in. Went over the top very fast. Looked like she was in a rush to get going.
Well, she knew she had to run the pass, essentially.
Right.
So she's trying to stay aggressive from the start, and you see here on the replay.
Yeah, here we go.
At the last moment, she reaches over the top right there.
Yeah.
With outside arm, and that brings her.
Which goes back to, again, our trick analogy, if you will. Yep. With that reach over the top, she's brought her upper body in, and as you said, the initial movement. So it's if you will,
chain reaction.
Yeah, for our folks at home, she was moving from the top down.
Yeah.
Rather than from the ski up.
Exactly.
And as you do that on your ski, your upper body's moving in, and at first the ski doesn't move.
Do anything.
But then you start and you get over far enough,
yep.
Now the ski's going to move, but it's going to move all at once.
Yep.
And when you take a ski and roll it all the way over on its side like that, and the water can grab that tip and
yep.
drag it around, you have almost zero chance of the tail sticking in. And we saw that in the replay as where our camera angle was as she came around that buoy. She wasn't halfway through the turn, and the tail had already released and was shooting around and accelerating so fast. So if you want to talk about experience and what it does for you, I think that was a good example in terms of, Karen using her experience. Now, again, I know my wife. If I had a metal nail, she could chew through it right now. She's so frustrated to not run a 38 off.
Of course.
But she skied that as she needed to. So
she played the game, and she's moving on.
Right. Okay, so Manon Costard, number 3 seed, Brienne Dodd. This is going to be another good test. Manon choosing to come out first. Looks like Brienne, again, assuming that each girl did make a decision, it looks like Brienne chose to go with the red boat with Greg Badal.
You good?
And, again, for our folks at home, typically that can have something to do. Our boats and our drivers are world-class, top to bottom, period, nearly identical, a hair's difference between either one of them. But oftentimes with a skier, they'll choose one or the other by just simply, how did they ski, which round did they ski more buoys in yesterday, which round did they feel a little better. May not have anything to do at all with that. And quite honestly, if they don't have that much, they'll just go with what matches their outfit.
Yep.
I mean, it's just going to be.
Exactly. Yeah, you never know. I mean, this is a very strategic sport, but it's also a little bit superstitious at times. I know, hey, if something worked the last round, I'm going to try to keep it the same.
Okay, so we should have Brienne Dodd getting up here, coming around the island any second. And Brienne, I know she's a little. Now you mentioned I wasn't aware that she's a little under the weather here. So that's something that
it's not like she offered it up. I went to give her a hug, and she said, "Hey, be careful. I've been sick, not feeling great." So who knows how that plays in? Like we talked about earlier, I know Bailey Austin has had mono. I know Brienne is under the weather, but like you said, that could end up being could end up being an advantage because it relieves some of the pressure.
I have seen athletes, I've experienced it myself, where you're under the weather and you're thinking to yourself, how am I possibly going to do this? It's a tall order when I'm healthy. How am I going to do it? And you can summon strength. It's almost like your body will pull adrenaline that you didn't know you had, and your focus becomes laser focus. And I've actually had some of the best competitive performances of my life under the weather. And we can go with other sports like Michael Jordan when he scored the 63 points in the finals in a whatever year it was, and they were literally picking him up and carrying him to the timeouts because he was so exhausted he couldn't move.
Yeah.
You see that out of athletes. So I don't think you're going to see a bunch of athletes walking around, breathing in sick people's, viruses so they can get there intentionally. But it does happen. So
I wouldn't mind if that took over the Pokemon trend or something because that'd be better than the Pokemon thing now.
Your phone can help you find a sick person that you can go get a kiss and get sick. There you go.
Perform better.
There you go. So
I would tend to maybe think that it might be partly the distraction piece from the mental approach.
Absolutely.
That it gets the athlete kind of in a different headspace.
Absolutely.
And thereby they kind of indirectly just are able to do what they know how to do better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, you end up feeling like I'm basically at a slight disadvantage, so there's no reason to play defense. I've got to go all in.
Exactly.
So now Manica started yesterday, 5.5 at 38 in the first round, ran the 38 very nicely, but fell around 6-ball in a very unusual, unexpected way, although you said you saw her do the same thing at the World Championships down in Mexico. So obviously something that can happen with Manon. And it isn't uncommon for Manon to have a weird turn or something goofy kind of happen and she scraps through a pass.
Yep.
But followed up the second round, very solid 38, but then only ran one, and I say only ran 1.5 at 39. But as a left foot forward skier, didn't get off one as well as I thought she should, and wasn't able to do anything with two. So I don't think Manon has really felt like she's settled in here yet, and I think she's going to be looking for a little of that. And in the same breath, we can say the same thing, honestly, about Brianne, understanding she's under the weather. The hardest thing in the world to do is deal with that. But she hasn't yet got settled in and gotten a start at 38 off in either of the round yesterday.
Yeah.
So if she's going to go through this, I think with Manon's, how she's been skiing, how well she skied this year, she looks settled in now. I think Brianne's down there knows I got to get through 38 and make this about a game at 39 if I'm going to play with Manon. And if Brianne can run that 38 and put that pressure on Manon, maybe she's got a chance. But remind me I want to talk to you about Manon's spray leg that she wears.
I saw that.
I want to talk to you about that. It's for a very interesting reason, and I think our audience will be amazed by it. But right now it's Brianne Dodd's turn. 32 off. We would expect nothing but a nice, early, beautiful pass here from Brianne. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Brianne has a little more movement on her ski, but it's not movement forward and back. It's a I kind of call it like a wave that she does when she comes off the second wake. She doesn't stay as a solid unit. You'll literally see her body kind of her lower body moves out and her upper body kind of wiggles in. She realigns herself, comes in for a nice turn. I think as the line is longer, she has the time and doesn't have the excess speed to deal with that, and it works very well for her. I think sometimes, though, as the line gets short, if the time before the buoy starts to get short, she has trouble getting through that movement, if you will. But
it's like a sequence of movements she has to get through before she can execute that turn. And if she gets behind at a shorter line length pass, it becomes harder to fit those moves in before she can negotiate the turn, and thereby makes the pass harder.
So. There you go. Okay, so Manon start. Where's a spray leg? Now, you're smiling. As all the skiers, spray leg. She doesn't wear it for spray. She wears it because she uses a reflex front binder. She has a toe kicker rear. And as you know, on the reflex binder, on the attachment process, there's that mechanism that hangs out the back.
Yep.
The heel catch. Well,
and I've done this.
Well, I don't think you know where I'm going with this yet.
I know.
Okay, 35 off for Manon Costard. We want to see. There's a slow 2-ball, which is not uncommon out of Manon. She does not typically run the prettiest 35s. They get a little scrappy. It's just an odd rope length for her, and very handy, but a little bit. But she has to wear that
because of the knee bend, is it not?
because of the what?
She bends her knees so well.
She bends her knees so much, and she has so much ankle flexion. She's not picking her heel up. She has so much ankle flexion in her back ankle that her shin will ride all the way forward and slam into
that heel release.
That heel release, and it breaks the skin, and she bleeds. Yeah. And it happened to her yesterday.
She's got a crater on her shin.
She has a dent in her shin from it. But ladies and gentlemen, this is not from her binding, releasing, and her hitting. Yeah. This isn't from her heel lifting and she pops into it. She can almost fold her shin down to her
That's
toes.
Flexibility, man.
It's beyond flexibility.
That's crazy.
This is like ballerina crazy stuff. This is not typical of water skiers. Typically, you guys can't move your ankles past about 22 degrees.
I've never heard of that, to be honest, before today.
I've never heard. I heard it this morning. Karen was explaining it to me this morning because I've seen her wear the spray leg, and
I wondered.
I figured it was for the binding, releasing, and they, sometimes the hard shell then hits you in the shin as you're coming out.
Well, she says the spray leg is not even enough, so now she's duct taping.
Yeah.
And then spray leg, and it's still not enough.
I think she's probably going to have to go to like a soccer guard, like some of the trickers wear.
Shin guard, exactly.
Yeah, shin guard. Thank you.
Which might affect performance. Who knows?
Okay, Brianne Dodd, 35 off. Ran it both times yesterday. Has looked smooth this morning. Good start at 1. She is a little under the weather, so energy could be an issue, but she looks solid right now. This is a very nice pass.
I know.
Got through that nice.
I know her husband, one of your competitors, is probably at home anxiously watching in Florida, hoping that she goes out and does what she knows she can do, not what she's been doing.
I think Ryan, like most husbands, is obviously rooting for
be pacing.
A good outcome.
He could be pacing.
I don't know. I don't see Ryan as much of a pacer. No, he might be benching. He might be squatting.
Yeah.
I don't see him as much of a pacer.
Benching, squatting, some rear delt flies.
Exactly.
But he's not pacing?
Not pacing.
Okay.
I'm the pacer. He's the squatter. Okay, so if you didn't know anything about water skiing and you watched those two passes, you would walk up to the shore here and you would have said, hey, that girl that went second, she ran that 35 better than the girl went first. I'll bet that second girl is going to probably outrun this first one. But that is I don't know how to explain it. It's the anomaly with Manon Costard. Her 35 offs, when I see Manon skiing her best, it's typically an ugly 35. And it's like that 35 gets her in gear and she gets more aggressive at 38. Exactly.
Let's talk about the 6-ball real quick. Not to say anything, but in Worlds, before she fell at 6 at 38, she almost fell at 6 at 35.
35, yeah.
So you're right. Sometimes that's a wake-up call, and we'll see if it cleans it up here at 38.
So here we go. Manon Costard, left foot forward skier.
Big 1-ball.
Big one, little on the rear there, but got off 2. Really nice. Very nicely in this pass. 5, 6. Okay, so that's not how it's supposed to work. No. You're not supposed to run 38 better than you run 35. Yeah. But I'm telling you, folks, go find the videos, watch her ski for the rest of her career. That's just how she works. And the better she runs her 35s, the more nervous I actually get for her because she always skis better when she runs a scrappy 35. So I don't know. I don't have an explanation for it.
Again, sometimes I think that's happened to me in the past where I have a scrappy 38, and it's kind of like, okay, snap me back into what I should be doing, which is, on the offensive instead of being on the defense. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like a coordinated part of her routine.
Yeah, I don't know if she I don't think she tries to do that.
But it is amazing, and it is a pattern. This is not I was talking about this yesterday. Yeah. This is not a one-time thing with this girl. I've been watching her skiing very closely for a number of years now, and it's just a.
I'd be careful how much I know she's a sweetheart, but I mean she is tough. She's pretty big.
Oh yeah,
You don't want to piss her off.
She's gonna watch it. She's gonna know I mean it as a compliment all the way through because I called it before she went.
Amazing.
Scrappy 35, beautiful 38. Okay, speaking of beautiful 38s, Brianne Dodd needs a beautiful start at this pass to get in it.
That's a big one.
Got a big one. Got pulled out a little bit.
She's okay.
A little slow at 2. She's gonna have to hustle here. Got a great 3.
Got to stay calm, which she's
big
doing.
4.
She pulled long into 5. Can she turn it? She did.
There you go, Brianne Dodd. Nice job.
Wow.
Little hop out the gates. She is excited.
Wow. That was that's how you scrap.
Absolutely. That was not the start you would have drawn up. Got a little bit high-sided out of 1, then went low late, if you will, but got out of 2 nicely. But 3 was where it was going to make or break her, and she came in and you know, as we talked about yesterday, sometimes coming in a little bit late, especially when people have been having issues at 3-ball, almost works out to your advantage because you get launched out and you come back right away. So she just let the ski move out, brought it right back in, and that 3 saved her. I think that put her back in the game.
I agree.
She was
well, the 3 and some experience.
Absolutely.
She didn't panic.
Absolutely. Okay, so now it gets nitty-gritty. Manon Costard is a lefty. So I don't think she's going to hold back here. That's going to put her, she's going to go hard out of that first buoy. Now, as long as she doesn't go too hard and she gets over to 2, she's going to be putting pressure on Brianne to have to get into personal best territory, causing her, because Brianne's second, she's got to out-ski Manon. We'd be talking about if Manon can get over there and just at least get a solid 2, that puts Brianne having a tire personal best to move on. But Brianne's capable.
Yes.
And Manon knows that, so she's going to try and go deep here. It'll all depend on this 1 ball. A little slow at the gate there.
Big 1.
Big 1.
Pulled long. She needs a big 2. She didn't get it. She's going to need a.
She did get it. She's still in this. Yes, she is. All right. There we go. Wow. Good skiing by Manon.
She still was in that at 3, and then I think she got a little bit too far back on the ski.
Now, you turned around and we're watching her live, and I was watching straight here on the video. Now, again, a little slow at the gate, but big 1. But watch this, too. She gets out of that.
She did. She just came out of it out of position, but she did get a tight line out of 2.
Yeah.
I think 3 is where she might have – it was kind of the make-or-break turn.
You can see how strong Manon is to hold on to a lot of this, but she literally overturned 1, overturned 3, where that ski rotated past the direction that she can handle, and yet she was strong enough as it's swinging back to basically stop its momentum and get it moving again and keep her going, whereas so many, if you're not that strong, that tip's going to come around as it sets, as it starts to swing back. If you can't stop all that momentum, then it just pulls you right in behind the boat and you're done. But, okay, 4 at 39.
It's tall order.
Tall order. Brianne set a personal best earlier this year at 3 at 39.
Yep.
So now has to get a piece of 5. Going to have to set a personal best by more than a buoy and a quarter.
Yep.
And that's a tall order. But, again, all these girls are capable.
One of the greatest moments if could see happen. But I honestly love Brianne. It would be rad to see her even get a PB, even get to 4 right now.
Yeah, sure. And any way she can get it. A little slow out of 1.
Not the one she needed.
No. So great skiing by Brianne Dodd. I know she's not going to be happy with 1 at 39, but
I mean, if you don't have the tournament you want and you still make it to the semis and you improve your score, that's the direction you want to. That's progress. I mean, she ran 38 for the first time just now. And
okay, so if we know we've got 4 positions that we know for sure. What we've got right now is we've got Regina Jaquez and Karen Trulove are going to move on in a pairing. We've got Manon Costard and Whitney moving on in a pairing. Of the 4 girls that did not move on, we have at number 8 is going to be Michaela Hall with a half at 38. Then we have Bailey Austin with 1.5 at 38. Kate Adrianson with 3 at 38. And Brianne Dodd with a 1 at 39. So those 5th through 8th are now set. Those girls will know how many points they're going to get. They're going to know what size check they're going to get. Yeah. What we don't know right now is 1 through 4. And we will decide after these 4 girls skis, we'll know who our top 2 girls are going to be who go on for the championship. We'll also have decided 3rd and 4th at that time. So, and that'll be based on the scores of the girls that they run in this in this next round. So, are we going straight in right now? I believe we're going to go just keep rolling right through this. I think I see Karen down there in her sweatshirt. And okay. we're going to take a small break there because I see the boat drivers hopping out and getting maybe taking a stretch. Going to hit the loo real quick. So I'll tell you what. Let's go to a. Looking over at my producer Tom Gray to see if we're going to do a quick commercial. And I can see him walking around inside the glass. So I'll tell you what, folks. I'm going to stay with you here, and we will as we're getting a good view down there at the dock. We can see Whitney McClintock doing some arm swings. Karen Trulove swinging the arms a little bit. Whitney's doing some physical therapy. I believe they call those Houstons. And see Regina in the background talking to Dave Good. They might be talking about a little strategy as Dave's got two of his good skiers paired up here together. Regina and Karen both skiing for Team Good. Manon Costard skiing on the Monte Carlo, and Whitney representing the Radar. So the group said we can see Manon over there on the left side, just to the right of the American flag, slipping out of her vest and maybe pulling her top off there. Going to lay it in the sun and let it warm up a little bit. I saw that Regina and Karen have their vest and bib still on. Karen electing to put a sweatshirt on over the top and try and stay warm. The temperature is, we have sunlight. We have warmth if you're in the sun. As you can see, all of our athletes are trying to soak up a little of that. But the water is very cool this weekend. And I heard some of the athletes, especially in our big dog competition yesterday, where they had we went from 16 down to the final 2. And by the end, those guys were sitting around shivering. And Nate Smith was with me. He said that that's always one of the struggles he has at this event, is the amount of time that you spend in the water. You do end up getting very cold, and it does bleed on your energy quite a bit. So hopefully not a big deal. I think this little bit of an extra break here will help our athletes. And as we saw earlier, some of the girls electing to climb up on the back of the boat as they sit on the ends to just get out of the cooler water and try and soak up a little of the sun like a turtle or a alligator, if you will, and get that core temperature back up a little bit as we see Whitney continuing to go through the shoulder exercises. I'm not sure if that's a normal routine. I haven't really seen her do that before, or if she's possibly trying to work out a little soreness in her shoulders or high back. I'm not sure. But obviously keep an eye on that, and if we can get any reports, move that back to you. Marcus stepped off just real quick. Let's see him. So tell you what, folks, we're going to take just a quick break. I'll be right back with you in just a few minutes as we get ready to move into this, and I'll be right back with you.
What does it take to go further? It takes a drive few possess, a commitment few can match, and a history to back it all up. We test for every open throttle, every all-day excursion. Nothing is left to chance. So when the water beckons, you can answer with confidence. We are GM Marine.
truly great water ski is ultimately defined by its integration of shape and construction. Developing a flex tail with a new length to width ratio launched one of our most significant design and engineering efforts to date. With the new length to width ratio, Rev 6 becomes longer, providing more stability and speed out of the turn, while its flex tail helps turn the ski in perfect harmony with the arc of the turn.
Rooted in legendary Nautique ancestry, the Ski Nautique 200 closed bow is in a class of its own with a worldwide reputation for being the ultimate ski boat. A 3-event masterpiece. 19 world records have proven that when it's time to break boundaries, there is only one choice. The interior of the Ski Nautique offers more storage space than anything in its class, with elegant styling and comfort that pulls you in during the rare moments this boat doesn't have you on the edge of your ski. The all-new helm seat adds to the experience with a racing-inspired design for your perfect fit in a boat that screams ultimate performance. For 2016, Nautique has partnered with PCM and GM Marine Engine Technology to deliver the all-new H5 and H6 direct injection engines. Records have already fallen behind the smooth power delivered by these innovative engines in combination with the famous Ski Nautique pull. Feel the difference at the throttle with a perfect combination of horsepower and torque, tuned specifically for performance that further improves your Ski Nautique. On the world stage, the Ski Nautique 200's unrivaled 3-event performance pulls water skiing's most prestigious events, including the Masters Water Ski Tournament, the Moomba Masters, and the Nautique US Open of Water Skiing. The Ski Nautique 200 hull was relentlessly tested and designed to deliver the best wakes and drivability for all 3 events. Creating the softest, flattest, most passable slalom wakes, transforming into the perfect trick table, and a strong, consistent pull off the ramp, it is the only boat on the water truly dedicated to 3-event performance. The Ski Nautique 200 closed bow. World records start here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are, I think we had a slight technical difficulty there for the reason for the extended break, but we are back with you. And the technical difficulty was over there, might have been with some of the camera work, I think, on the boats for the actual tournament, not for the webcast. But we are, I think I saw him messing around with one of the trackers for the camera. So I think we've got that sorted out, and we are getting ready to go. They're going to send a boat out here, I think, shortly with a simulation pass. We've got Karen and Regina. Regina is the higher seed, and I believe she chose to ski behind Greg Badal and the red boat, which is what she had the first round. So I think just kind of choosing to stick with what she had. And that then gave Karen the choice of going first or second. And it looks like Karen has chosen to go first. And go out after it and see if she can maybe put some pressure on Regina and essentially take that, what we'd call the quarter buoy advantage, where Regina has to out-ski Karen. So I talked briefly with Karen after her first round with Michaela, and with Karen being out in front of Michaela, you know, she said that she felt a little, you know, like she was basically skiing very defensively. She didn't want to make a mistake early in the pass and leave the door open for Michaela to get her, as we see Regina Jaquist waving to the crowd here at Belle Aqua Water Ski Lakes. And but again, back to Karen said she felt like she skied defensively, and it basically put her in a situation where she lost a little bit on the way down. And so I think she's choosing to go first again here, but a slightly different situation where Michaela not running 38 yesterday, and obviously someone who is capable of doing it, but you know, Karen was wanting to make sure she got deep down the lake. With Regina Jaquist following her, Karen knowing that Regina's, I mean, there's about a 98% chance here that, if not higher, 99%, 100% chance that Regina's going to run the 38 off. Karen will then have that opportunity to go into this slightly different and hopefully just be very aggressive from the onset and try to get through that pass. And then likewise at 39, with Regina's history of running the pass or at least going deep down that pass, you know, Karen can let the dogs run, as they say. She can go at it 100% and try to get herself around, obviously, one of the toughest obstacles in the sport, if not the toughest obstacle, which is Regina Jaquist, a very, very strong competitor at all times, but tends to be very strong in the head-to-head challenges. Our other bracket is going to be Manon Costard and Whitney McClintock. Obviously, Whitney is, you know, if it's not been Regina, it has been Whitney in terms of toughness and ski ability. Highest score this weekend actually belongs to Whitney McClintock with a 1 1/4 at 41. So very capable. It's going to come down to doing it when it matters. But Manon Costard has run through the 39 this year, had her best round of the tournament this morning with 4 at 39 as she skied against Brianne Dodd, who skied very well and got through the 38 off as well. So, but Manon did a great job, got down to 4. That's the kind of performance she's going to want to have to put some pressure back on Whitney, if not even go further all the way down that pass. But first grouping is Regina Jaquist and Karen Trulove. We've got Karen Trulove on the water first. These are our last 4 girls. We're going to pare this down. We're going to know shortly who gets 3rd and 4th and who are going to be our top 2 in the final pairing. So this should be 32 off as Karen comes in, looking for a nice, smooth rotation out of the finishes of the turn. Good stack position behind the boat. Karen is a veteran of the sport, and quite honestly, you might be able to take Whitney and at least Manon's times together. I think you might be able to add Whitney and Regina's years together, and
not equal Karen's.
Not equal Karen's,
yeah.
But
yeah.
Although Regina's been at this a long time, she started very young, and Whitney still is very young.
Yep.
So Karen, mother of 2, that she's going to have Dash and Ridge. It's Saturday, so they're not in school. I know that Karen's parents, Jack and Celia, will be at the house watching the boys. I'm sure they've got the computer turned on and anxiously waiting to see how it works out here today. And if I know my son Dash, he is
he
probably
following?
playing. He's either got a Boomco Nerf gun in his hands, or he's playing with a train or a Hot Wheels, and Ridge is probably jumping off of something right about now. So they certainly keep both of us busy, but as
How
any
old is
mom
Ridge
out there.
now?
Ridge is 2.5, and Dash is 7.5, and as any mom knows, no matter how much a husband and a dad tries to help out, all the tough responsibilities fall back on mom. And you know, when the kids get banged up and beat up, they typically don't call for dad because I just tell them to shake it off. They run to mom, and she's got to do all the hard work. So definitely keeps Karen busy. And as we see Regina Jaquist up and coming around the island, she'll be coming in here at 32 off. This is going to be a little more of a normal set for Regina, who typically does start at 32. We saw Regina struggle I'm going to say struggle. We don't know exactly what her game plan was when she came back in at 39 this morning, but running 3 or possibly 2. I couldn't tell. Yeah, very uncharacteristic. And then, oddly enough, on the same breath, Whitney, who had an opportunity to try 39, chose not to. So both girls, slightly different tactic. Not sure what I guess at this point in time it was a lot of skiing yesterday, and it's going to be a lot of skiing. Those girls are planning on doing a lot of skiing today. I know they are. So they're possibly in an energy conservation mode. I think this round is going to be hopefully we'll see all 4 girls get through the 38, and 39 will become a deciding factor, if not into 41. So
do we know who had the choice? First or
we
second?
do. Regina had the choice and chose the red boat with Greg Badal driving. Left Karen obviously then the choice to go first or second. So she has chosen to go first, take the quarter buoy advantage on Regina, which I think is a smart play. It's the thing to do because you just with Regina every quarter buoy, half buoy, pass, whatever you can get, whatever's on the table, just take it.
Yep, take it.
So here we are, Karen Truelove, both girls successfully through the 32. Both look solid and smooth. This will be 35 off. All right. Little tip rise out of 1, no big deal here. She's nice and solid off of 2. Good out of 3. Good 4. Yeah. Nice pass. I think that was a little smoother than the 35 we saw in the first round.
I would say so. That looked like a pretty clean pass, especially I think it helps having the first round under your belt. You kind of know what the water feels like, know what the conditions feel like.
Well, and it's important for our folks at home to realize that these girls are, again, we talked about it yesterday, all these girls have other jobs. Karen and I are partners in essentially a consulting business for the industry. We work with different sponsors and help them with numerous activities. It takes a lot of our time. Obviously, she's a full-time mom of 2. Yep. We have a lot of things going on.
You guys have a lot of irons in the fire.
A lot of irons in the fire. Regina, in a very similar situation where she's owner of a pharmacy down in Destin, Florida. So a lot going on. So when these girls get on a plane and they come, there's money involved. And all of these girls want to, obviously make as much money as they can, but because that is a part of it. But there was some relief, I think, for all these girls to get into this Final Four. Now they're at least going to make enough money to pay for the trip and keep them in a positive cash flow. So that pressure has been released. Now they can focus on going for the win
and skiing their game.
Absolutely. So here we are, Regina Jaquist, 35 off. Looks solid through the early part of the course here. Very smooth, very solid, very much what we expect for Regina Jaquist at 35 off.
Looked really clean.
Looked clean, looked solid. We can see somebody practicing for the Rockettes in the background there.
Yeah, I think that might be Nick Parsons.
No, that's not Parsons. That's
Brian
Dietrich. Yeah, Detrick. Sorry,
Rockettes.
Metric Detrick.
Yep.
He's back there doing the
high kicks.
High kicks. There you go. The Superman. He looked just like that yesterday coming out of 1 ball at 41. I'm telling you, that is exactly it. There you go. He practices it, folks.
He does.
That is for those of you who are watching him yesterday. He came out of 1 ball at 41, and I've never seen anybody that far over the tip and hold onto the handle to cross the wakes and get to 2. That was an absolutely unbelievable athletic movement, and now we know how he does it because he practiced it. He trains for it. Now he's getting ready for a proposal to his girlfriend. That's how you do it. Go ahead and get on both knees, buddy.
Just be ready.
Get on both knees. Just get ready. Yeah. Okay, Karen Truelove, 38 off. Meat and potato pass right here. She was the first girl to run it in the tournament. Struggled yesterday in the second round. This morning ran 5. Said she was skiing defensively. Wanted to just get deep in the pass, but now she knows she needs more. She's going to have to go ahead and get after this. Little slow out of 1. Going to want a big 2 here. Got it. Fast into 3. Stayed in the pass. Going to need a big 4. Got a big 4.
Wow.
Big check at
That's
5. Nice
unbelievable.
job. There you go.
Look at
Now,
that, dude.
let me tell you something. Here's the thing. Not great style. Good technique.
Yeah.
Good technique.
Yeah,
And let me
exactly.
tell you something. Karen Truliv has run 38 off like that more often than she's run it pretty. And
Slow out of 1.
slow, and that's not a bad thing. We talked about that earlier with
Yep.
her. This is more of what she's accustomed to. Now, she's not going to get away with that at 39 and a half. But she knows she can't get away with that at 39 and a half, and she's going to let it run, okay? But that doesn't worry me in the least with her running a 38 off that way.
Like that.
That's to me, that is Karen, again, quite honestly, it's Karen still skiing a little bit defensively.
Yes. I
But
would agree.
much like Man and Costard.
Yep.
Karen can run a 38 like that. She's going to go
And
down
step
there.
her game up.
It's snow globe time. Shake
Yeah,
it up,
snow
come
globe
back
time.
in, and let it ride. So great job getting through that pass. Now
And
she's
she
in the
turned 3. I mean, yesterday she was early and she didn't end up turning 3. Today she was behind the gun, out and back in, and nailed it.
and you have to trust yourself to be able to do that, and especially after yesterday.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'll have the conversation now. She fell at 3-ball at the Masters. She fell at 3-ball at the Malibu Open. She fell at 3-ball here yesterday. Believe me,
been a bit of a
3-ball's in
thing
her
this
head.
year, yeah.
But she has this little unknown young lady that's coming out after her,
Yep.
girl by the name of Regina Jaquez, who's not going to fall at 3-ball at 38. And Karen knows, put the nose in and go. The
Yep.
tail will hold. Just go. So, okay, here we are. Regina Jaquez, 38 off. Nice 1-ball. Little tip rise. Not that dissimilar from what we saw with Karen. Big lean into 3. Got her timing and space back. There, sharp off of 4, again like we saw to Karen. Similar 5 to what we saw with Karen. That's not comparing the two. Obviously, Regina was further up the course. That was a little more style, if you would, but similar technique. And I saw similar moments there. Went to
Yep.
the tail at 1,
Yep.
deep out of 2.
It wasn't a clean 38 off.
No, but really solid 4 for Regina, but checked up at 5. So, maybe there's a little bit going on out there. I'd love to say that'll probably make Karen feel better about what she did, but the only thing that makes a skier forget that last pass is skiing well on
The
this
next
pass. Yeah.
And I can almost guarantee, well, maybe not. I wasn't watching, but I don't know if Karen was really watching super close. She was probably watching, but I don't know. What does she do at the end? Does she watch, or does she just try to get in her own head?
She's not doing yoga.
Yeah.
She's not doing yoga. She's in her head. She's having a conversation with herself. But Karen is one of the most observant people I've ever met. Her comment to me is that Freddie, would make a terrible detective.
Yeah.
Because
you're not paying attention.
I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
What she doesn't realize is I am paying very much attention to one thing. I can only
matters.
focus on one thing. Well, it matters to me.
Yeah.
It may not really matter. Okay, this is Karen Truliv, 39 and a half off. Needs to get deep to put some pressure on Regina.
A little slow on that gate.
A little slow. Let's see if she can get a big 2 here.
She had a big 2, and she didn't hang on to it.
I'm surprised by that.
The ski was turned. The rope was coming tight. I think it just was almost too much too soon, and she wasn't stacked and ready for it.
We had the camera juggled on me there, and so I was shifting between looking at the camera and looking at her. She got a little bit bounced there. Here we are in slow motion. We can see. You'll see she gets the ski rotated around here. But, rope's on the wrong side of the tip.
On the wrong side.
Yeah, so she was actually very smart to just let that go.
You can't really do anything about that.
Kept from getting an ankle yanked to the side. So, unfortunately, not the 1-ball she was looking for. So Karen will go down with 1.5 at 39.
Right now, what's incredible is 42 years old, mother 2, and she goes out and she's turning 2 at 39 in a critical head-to-head. So that right there is promising.
Well, absolutely. And, I mean, if you know Karen, she's if we go back and we have the conversation about the fact that Karen's been running 38 for roughly 17 years, 18 years now, and she hasn't officially run 39. She's run 5.5. She's run 5 a number of times. She's run 5.5 at 39. But she hasn't officially gotten that opportunity to go out the exit gates and say that she's run it. Believe me, the frustration mounts with that over these years. But she is running it in practice. She is extremely capable of running it, and doing it here in a pro event is always difficult. You know, we see Regina do it. We've seen Whitney do it, but those girls have been doing it for a while now and doing it in those tournaments, and Karen's still striving for that. So Regina Jake was very smooth out of 1 there. Has to get the full 2, which she does. Gets the 3.
Making this look pretty easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice pass. Actually, again, a nicer pass than her
That was
38.
better than 38, yeah. Which is, to your point, sometimes that's just how it goes, you know?
Well, she's we've said that about Regina before, and this was a much better start, obviously, than the previous round when she tried the 39, and she just, once she gets that start again, if I've seen Zero Off just really fit with a skier, it's been Regina. It was, you know, Zero Off came out in, I believe, 2007.
Yep.
And 2009, between 2007 and 2009, Regina basically went from running 38 periodically to running 39.
Yep.
You know, there wasn't even a moment where she went
leap.
to, hey, my PB is 2 at 39 to, oh, I got a 3, oh, I got a 4, oh, I got a 5. She literally went from 2 at 39 to running the pass.
Which is
and
almost unheard of.
But her gaits and her approach and how she starts that pass, if we go back and kind of talk about that, she starts with such a good rhythm
Yep.
that the boat never ends up fighting her
Sure.
through. Even though she's skiing very aggressive and doing it, it's the rhythm that she establishes from beginning to end. And so we're going to get to see Regina come back in here at 41. Get a little practice here. Again, Whitney has gotten to 2 this weekend. Regina has 2 1s, so she's definitely going to want to feel like she can get.
Oh.
Ski released.
Wow, she hit the buoy.
So possibly, yeah, we see the
It's all
ski
right.
floating there with no binding. I'm going to assume Regina is okay. I've seen her take some of the hardest falls of anybody. That's not a I don't think she hit the buoy there. That's just
Didn't hit the buoy.
a very late release and
Wow.
a surprising release. You could see that
Yeah.
Regina did not expect that to happen.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
So I'm sure we'll see Dave Good and I believe Chad Scott's still on site. I'm sure we'll see those guys over there working feverishly to make sure she gets her bindings back in exactly the right spot. For those of you at home who aren't familiar with the Good system, she actually has a industrial Velcro that's on the bottom of the plate that her bindings are mounted to, and then obviously the mate to that Velcro on the top of the ski. And it's an incredibly strong bond, but they will figure out, and there's different weave patterns, if you will. I think one's called a 200 and there's a 400, and it's how many of the little mushrooms there are in a certain area. But essentially what they'll do is they'll mix and match those to get the right amount of pressure so that the binding won't release until it's been put under a certain amount of force. Now, obviously it's a learn-as-you-go kind of a guess, quite honestly. But, you know, they have some experience with it, and there's, you know, I'm sure there's some science behind it as well. But I think, obviously, with Regina moving on, she is going to need to get those bindings put back on, make sure they're fastened, and make sure they are absolutely in the exact same spot so that when she comes back out, everything feels the same. So, let's see, we had her right there at a half at 41. So there you can see the Velcro actually there on the top of the ski. And she has come out on our side of the lake. Probably going to, like I said, I believe Dave Good might have a booth over here. And she's probably headed up into the booth to make sure they get everything down and in. We see Whitney McClintock easing into the water and Manon Costard still standing on the dock. So we see that Whitney, I'm going to assume, chose to go first. And Manon chose to stick with Will Bush, who she had in the first round in the blue boat. And let's see, with Whitney had Greg in the first round. So both girls going to get the drivers and boats they had in the previous round. And Whitney has opted for what we call the quarter buoy advantage by going first. Manon has to beat her by a quarter of a buoy. And we're going to, as I understand it, the finals are going to have a slightly different rule. As I was at the skiers meeting this morning, we'll go to that when we get to our final pairing of 2. But right now we've got Whitney McClintock on course at 32 off. Going through very smooth. Ran a very nice 38 off this morning and opted to ski to the dock, essentially because Kate Adrianson only ran 3 at 38. Whitney conserved her energy. And I don't think we'll see that this time. I don't think that Manon will give her that opportunity, to be honest with you. I expect Manon to get through 38 and try to get a crack at 39. But we will see as we see Whitney, again, one of the athletes that likes to climb up on the back of the boat and conserve her energy. Smart. By getting out of the cooler water. It is sunny California, and it is warm today, but the water, as you said, we've had a couple of cooler days. And am I correct that they might be filling, when the water gets low here, that this is a well-filled?
It's well-fed,
Well-fed. So this is a well-fed lake.
It's
and
colder water coming in as well.
Yeah. So doesn't really truly get the opportunity to warm up like it might in the summer where the evenings are warmer. So you're feeding in cold water and you're having cool nights, and the water temperature is just a little brisk for the athletes. But as we see Manon Costard from France up on top of the water, coming around, going to be 32 off. Manon is typically a young lady that likes to start at 32 off, so this is playing right into
up her alley.
All these girls' hands. So we'll see what we get. We saw with Manon in the first round, kind of a scrappy 35 and then a beautiful 38, and got on down to 4 at 39, which is the kind of score you would want to do to put pressure on Whitney. But Manon's not going to get the opportunity to put pressure on Whitney because she's second. It's going to be Whitney putting the pressure on Manon. So if we see Whitney ski as she has been thus far through the event, getting through 39, I think that's going to put a lot of pressure back on Manon, and we'll have to see how she deals with that. Yeah.
So that's a 32 off start for both women.
Yes.
And like you said, that's usually what both of these women start at.
Correct.
Normally on any given day. So they're both pretty comfortable with that. We've got really no head tail right now to speak of.
Calm weather. So, Marcus, I was at the skiers meeting this morning when they were talking about the rules for the event here, for the head-to-head. And in years past, all the way through, the second skier has had to outski the first skier. They've changed it up this year. In the final pairing of two, if there's a tie, they're going to run it off.
Yep.
Now.
And continue to run it off.
And continue to run it off until there's a winner. Now, that surprises me because one of the things you're doing is you're going to take away
that advantage.
Now, essentially, you're only giving an advantage to the highest seed because that person will choose what boat and driver they want. The second person is just tagging along. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but we'll discuss that more as we get down to our final pairing. Right now, still in the head-to-head challenge of the top four. This is the bottom half of our bracket. We've already got Regina Jaquist going on in the championship round. This is Whitney McClintock at 35 off. Very smooth and solid. Has looked strong all weekend. My wife, Karen, made a comment that Whitney said, made the comment yesterday that she feels good, feels strong, feels like this is the kind of location where a world record could possibly go down. So speaking very confidently, not confidently that she was going to do it, but confidently that this is the kind of facility where it's possible. So don't want that to come across as she was being arrogant in any way. That wasn't her intention. It just simply her feeling that good about the conditions and the way she's skiing and the way all the the boats, the drivers, the buoys, everything's there and in place. So Whitney McClintock certainly has her head in the game and seems to be here and ready to go.
Well, I think like you said, Whitney's obviously shown she can run 39.5 off here at this site this weekend.
Absolutely.
Manon has done that in the past. She is hungry right now to go out and to prove herself and her potential right here against one of the best.
Well, she hasn't had an opportunity to beat Regina this year. Regina elected to not go to the Australia trip this year. Whitney won both of those events. But when Whitney did not have a good Masters, and Regina won the event. So then at Malibu, Regina won that event as well. So Whitney hasn't had that opportunity to beat Regina this year, and this would, might be one of the first years that would, if she doesn't accomplish that, it would be one of the first years that I can remember where Whitney didn't steal at least one of the events.
Yep.
And we've had years where Whitney has won a majority.
Yep.
These girls are tit for tat. So Mannon through 35, very smooth there. Better than the first round.
Yeah, a lot better than the first round. And I know you kind of mentioned the characteristic, like kind of scrappy 35, but
yeah,
I think, this is like the fourth round maybe of the tournament so far for her on this lake. So she's starting to kind of settle into her groove.
Well, again, call it superstition on my part. When I see her run that scrappy 35, I know her head gets engaged, and we typically see her run a better 38. By no means am I saying if she runs a smooth 35, can she not run 38 and not run it smooth, not run it better. It just, Mannon sometimes has those 35s that will almost mind-boggle you that she runs them the way she does. But that one was very smooth. She looks dialed in here, and she's going to need to be, and she knows that. She knows that both Whitney and Regina are extremely tough competitors, but she wants to be included in that conversation, just like Karen and the other girls want to be, considered equals to these girls.
Yep.
But she's going to have to go out on the water right now and do that. So,
unfortunately or fortunately, she's going to know what she has to do because Whitney's first.
Absolutely. So, barring a very unusual catastrophe here on Whitney's part, we would expect to see her go through. One of the things that is interesting about Whitney is she has a tremendous amount of upper body movement, honestly, on her onside turn, that 135. And interestingly, we've got two lefties here battling it out. But Whitney, her right arm is extended far and far behind her. It's a really big reach behind her. And then when she comes back on the handle, because she's kind of rotated out that far,
back.
The hips don't have to move as far as the upper body, which is good. Then they're coming around together. But if you watch how far she'll come around, when she comes on the handle, she almost drives it past. She'll come on the handle and drive it past center and then rotate back out. Yet it never rotates her out of her hip movement, and it doesn't stop her movement. It's like her upper body and her lower body are just moving independently of each other.
I know what you're saying. I actually think that it does create problems for her, and I think if there's one glaring issue in her technique, it's that. But she's managed it so well and learned to deal with it so well that she can get away with it and still run, 2 at 41 off.
Well, I think there's, as you're saying, get away with it. There's the over rotation as she comes back. Again, a jumper talking about slalom skiers. Take this as you will, as we have a flyby. And we all just got crop dusted for the Zika virus.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Hey, I was just watching a rocket launch on the Florida coast 2 days ago, and I got annihilated by mosquitoes. So I may have Zika right now.
Well, there you go.
I'm walking Zika.
So the first reported case in California.
Yeah.
Unreported case in California. So back to Whitney real quick. But that over-rotation, technically you could look at that and say, oh, that's a boo-boo. She's got to fix that. But we also have to understand that rotation that she's creating is also a strength because it's driving those hips through and getting her loaded and we talk about that stacked position, and she's in that stacked position. So I struggle to say, she's got to change that. Absolutely.
Yep.
It absolutely serves a purpose. Okay, here we are. Mannon Costard had a little bit of an extended delay there as the plane went over the top. I think they were going to let that adventure pilot get out of our way a little bit here. So
he's going to come buzz again. This plane's coming through again.
Okay, little slow at 2.
Big
little head dip at 3, but still early and up course, not a problem. And here comes our airplane again. This guy thinks he's doing us a favor, giving us a show, and not exactly being all that helpful. But there you go. You got a good picture of the Red Bandit there that we're dealing with.
This guy's just asking to give us a reride.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully, now again, if we refer back to that. There will be no rerides in this head-to-head. It was very clear in the rules that anything distracting other than a safety concern, and one could argue that getting landed on by a plane is a safety concern, but if he doesn't land on the water, it would nearly be a distraction, and i.e. ducks. If we have ducks outside the course and you enter the course, there's no option for a reride. Now, if you run over ducks in the course, I think they're going to have a conversation about it. That's a separate issue. Obviously, that can be a safety issue, and so therefore the conversation is stated. But there'll be no rerides for flashing lights, for cameras,
lights.
for planes flying by, for someone yelling, etc. It has to be considered a safety concern. So. Hopefully the Red Bandit will have moved on. He's back over there. It looks like he's going to circle around for one more run.
He looks like he's coming in, so he'll be coming in.
He's going to be coming in here with Whitney.
Coming in.
Now, my guess is Whitney will not ever notice him.
No.
And I think she's going to have a shot here to get through this before she hears any noise from him. So
he may be coming into land, actually.
Yeah, let's hope. Okay, so here comes Whitney. 39.5 off. Looking for a good start. Gets a good start. Fast at 2, but, boy, she kept the tip down nice. Big 3. Working her way through this. Going to need a big 5, but she's been able to rely on it. Oh, no.
Wow.
4.5.
Wow.
4.5. So very strong skiing. That's the first time that we have seen her not run 39. That sets a
pretty high bar.
Pretty high bar.
But
it's like an echo.
But to get a full 5 is a lot easier than getting 5 1/4.
Yeah.
So she just kind of left the door open somewhat.
Absolutely. Now, we've seen Manon fall at 38. We've seen Manon run 1.5 at 39. We've seen Manon run 4 at 39. So she's kind of been all over the place, but she has been improving every single round. Okay, so the good news is the red bear in there seems to have landed, so we're not going to have an issue with the plane. Manon Cassard should be getting ready here to come up and in. Feels like maybe they've extended the wait time a little bit for the girls.
A little bit.
Yeah, so yesterday
it was going quick.
It was going quick.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we were bang,
really
bang, 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 bang. A little longer wait time.
Kind of like your thoughts. You've got a lot going on up there. It's been pretty quick. You're able to keep up today. You can afford to slow that down. They're taking their time.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it's just
fun. We had to rush through the conversations on the end, so that we could focus on the action on the water like we want to right now as Manon comes in. Okay, we know what she needs. She needs a full 5. She has to get 5. She needs
a good start.
A good start.
See if she gets a good start. Hard on the gate. She's got an okay 1. She's got a decent 2. Oh, she's
clipped 3 ball. She clipped the 3 ball, yeah.
That 3 ball.
There's that 3 ball, yeah.
Came up narrow.
Looking like 2.5 buoys at 39.5 from Elka Start. Fantastic skiing out there.
So as we see the replay here, and again, the advantage that Manon has, some people don't consider an advantage, but in my opinion, the advantage that she has there, being a lefty, she's going to get that start on 1 right there. Yeah, ran over the buoy.
Nicked the buoy.
And just displaced the ski enough that she lost the tail, and down she went. As I was kind of going back, the advantage I feel like that the lefties will have is that opportunity to get off that first buoy.
Yeah, clean.
And she did that. She did a really good job with that, so that set her up. And we've seen that with Whitney and Regina. Whitney being the only one so far to get to 2 ball.
Yep.
But we've seen Regina be more consistent in running the 39. So this is going to be.
It's going to be a battle.
It's going to be a battle. This is not necessarily a surprise that we're down to these 2 young ladies in the final. This is a recurring theme.
Yes.
Now, both obviously Manon and Karen, at least in the conversation there, getting into the 39 and putting a little pressure on the girls. The 2 of them finishing, a buoy apart, so good competition in there. Manon will actually take the 3rd place spot, and Karen will be in 4th with her 1.5 at 39. Manon, of course, getting the 2.5 at 39 we just watched. So Whitney and Regina, I think at this point in time. Now, Whitney might be a little frustrated about the fact that that's the first time she's missed 39. I don't have enough of a psychology degree and let's be honest, I'm a man. I don't ever know what a woman's thinking anyway. But I don't know how much there's going to be regrets or thinking about what has happened for either one of these girls from here on out.
Yep.
I honestly think that Whitney knows who Regina is. Regina knows who Whitney
It's
is.
almost like a clean slate.
Clean slate. I
They can
think
just-
these girls, everything I think up to this point has been just a dance for them to get to this point where they
Yep.
can battle one more time and
Yep.
and see who comes out on top.
I think Manon wants to come over and say a word, Freddie.
Okay, yeah, let's get
Can
Manon
we,
in here.
You have a mic?
I do.
Awesome.
That's not on. All right, so I'll tell you what. Let me.
Here.
Check this is working. Hang on. Tom, can you hear me in the?
You all right? You had a good start.
Got a camera right there. Okay, so we'll wait for Tom here to.
Big shout out to our sponsors, Nautique, Future Ford, Fresh Brothers, Good Skis, D3, Syndicate, Eagle Sports,
You know?
Big Score Care.
Okay, so tell you what, man, and I'm gonna give you this chair real quick, and I'll get down on a knee, and let's slide that forward just a little bit. Okay, so we've got Menon started with. I'm gonna actually hand you this mic.
Okay.
Okay, so Menon, great skiing today. I
you.
know you wanted to get down that pass. I know that you felt like Whitney opened the door a little bit for you going down at 5. Can you kind of take it through us a little bit? You know, how did it feel out there today?
Felt really good. The first head to head, I was a bit nervous and like you. So I didn't ski 100%, but this one I felt really good. My 11 or my 38 I thought was good and looks
Really
alright.
clean.
And I thought I had a really good start at 39, so I'm a bit disappointed because I
Yeah.
wanted more, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, I was narrow at 3, but I'm glad. It's just a bit frustrating because I want a bit more. I'm at that stage where I feel like
Yeah,
know
I,
you
I
can
want
run it.
more. But
we had a conversation about that where you've gotten through the 39.5 off pass this year. You've got that under your belt. Obviously skiing very strong all season long. You've had great finishes, but still trying to just break through that in these head-to-heads where you're in that final pairing battling either Regina or Whitney. And I know that I feel confident that time is coming. Especially if if the door gets open a little bit like it did today. But it's. I know it's hard. I know it's frustrating that you can do it and you're working your way through that. But real quick, this morning the 35 off a little bit scrappy. Yet we saw then the 38 off was very smooth. Much better. Now this round your 35 was beautiful, 38 was beautiful, and you had the start you want. Is there? We've been up here kind of speculating and going back. Is there any time that where when you have those scrappy 35s that you feel like it's kind of it shakes you up a little bit, wakes you up, and helps you
yes,
get
for
in
sure
aggressive?
It wakes
Good.
me up, but I don't really like them because it wakes me up not in a really nice way. I kind of stop, trusting the rope and kind of search. Like I'm always searching for it, so it's not.
It's
It's
not
not great
ideal.
for the shorter lines.
You want to feel good from the start.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, great skiing. Thank you for joining us, and we're gonna pick it up here with these final 2.
Thank you very much.
Skiing. It's all right. He's used to it. He can deal. Whitney
Okay.
McClintock, 32 off.
Well,
believe-
the graphic came up there as 28
28.
off, but yes, this is going to be 32 off for both these girls.
Yep.
They don't have the option to start at 28, and even if they did, they would talk
probably
in the
would.
dock and say, "Hey, let's do this at 32." So,
Yep.
so Whitney through clean. Not a lot left to say about these 2 young ladies, really. I mean,
Kinda
I think
said it all.
I think at this point in time we can kind of focus on letting these girls. Now, interestingly enough, Regina's the higher seed, and
I think Regina must have picked her boat and driver again.
okay,
Maybe.
but and so Whitney chooses to go first. But what doesn't add up for me here?
Oh, is now there's no advantage.
There's no
for
advantage
going
now.
first.
Perhaps Whitney wants to go first because she doesn't want the pressure of having to ski to a score. She wants to set that bar. She wants to go run through 39, wants to chase that 41,
Yep.
and that might be the advantage that she's getting out of choosing to go first.
Sure.
But just for our audience at home, every round up to this, the second skier has had to beat the first. At the skiers meeting this morning, that was not the way it was portrayed. Now, if we see them tie and someone wins,
So now the advantage does not go to the first skier. You can tie, and if you tie, that doesn't mean you a winner as the first skier. It means you're in another runoff.
Correct.
Which
Correct.
I have mixed feelings because I remember years ago when they first started doing the head-to-head where the first skier gets the advantage, we all had mixed feelings about that as competitors, because what that means is the first skier goes out, runs 3 at 39.5 off. The second skier has to run 3 1/4. So the second skier technically, if the second skier wins, the second skier has to ski more than the first skier. If they tie, a equal tie, that means the first skier wins. See, that to me wasn't very fair. So I'm torn. I kind of like the fact that now they have to actually have an outright winner.
Well,
You can't just tie and win by default.
agreed, but and I'm not saying
It takes a strategy out.
it does, and that's the thing about this is that the last thing you want to do, you want to make when you've got fans at home, you've got fans on the site, you want to be pushing the athletes to ski at their highest level all the way through.
Yeah.
And the only way that they'll do that is you incentivize them with the seeding matters. The seeding matters, and we've lost that a little bit here potentially, but what we're going to do is we're going to mix it up here. And I don't think anybody at home or on the shore would be upset if these two girls go out and say tied at 1 at 41 and we brought them back out at 39 and had a knockdown, drag-out runoff. I don't think anybody's going to feel like they got shorted in that. So I kind of like the way they've done it. At least they kept it the way they did up to this point.
Yes.
And now we go. But so at this point, again, 3rd through 8th, all the scores of placements have been set. We've got Manon Costard, Karen Trulove, followed by Brianne, Kate Adrianson, Bailey Austin, and Michaela Hall. As we see Nate Smith pulling on the rope there to let Whitney climb up on the back. So Whitney through 35, nice and smooth. Again, we've seen it all weekend long. Both these girls have just looked rock solid. There's been no bobbles, no mistakes really.
Yeah, that's kind of what you get when you have two of the best female slalom skiers that have kind of ever been. I'd say top 4, top 5 ever, potentially top 2 ever. If you look at their overall performance at 39 and 41 off.
Here comes Regina on her second pass at 35 off.
So we have Regina coming back in at 35 off, 12-meter line. Another warm-up pass usually for Regina.
I almost wondered if the girls might opt to come out at 35, but I think
just to get it over with.
But honestly, as you said before, these girls are they're used to the workload.
Yeah,
they're
used to the volume.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think an extra 32 off is doing anything for either one of them, but just helping them dial in a little more.
What's the call? What do you think? Do we like to? Can we speculate?
I honestly can't. There's been just enough, of. Again, Regina has. I can almost say Regina's been more consistent, except that in that earlier round this morning when she didn't have to come back in at 39 and did, she ran the. What was it? 2.5 or 2.5 at 39. Mm-hmm. Then we see Whitney there in that round. Now, that was Regina not having to do it. We see Whitney essentially feeling like she has to run the pass, and she only runs, 4.5 at 39. I'm a bit perplexed. I'm not seeing much of a pattern here. Again, Whitney has the highest score of the tournament, but she's also missed 39 more often than Regina has.
Yep.
So if it comes down to
consistency, then
yeah,
you give it to Regina, but highest score, Whit kind of takes it this weekend. Big 3. A little slow out of 3, but apparently she's experienced enough that she did not let it get to her. I think, so we had a question about what ski Regina's riding. and if she's on the Rev 6 or the XT, and I'm not exactly sure. But it looked like she was on an XT.
I believe she's on an XT. But don't quote me on that. I know that she has spent time this year on the Rev 6. I believe she ran 3 at 41 on a Rev 6 up at Lyman Hardy's place. So obviously that's a ski that she can feel comfortable on. But and the only way to tell is if we can get a look at the rear of the ski, and obviously it's underwater, so I can't make that.
You don't have X-ray vision?
Don't have the X-ray vision, no.
Freddy Krueger does not have X-ray vision.
No, and it's quite honestly, my vision's not what it once was.
Hey, I did notice you have the text size bumped up on your iPhone there, buddy.
I'm up one size.
Okay,
yeah.
you're not up one notch.
No.
All right.
No.
I'm not there yet, but I'm not too far behind. All right.
Okay.
Regina Jaquist, 11-meter line, 38 off. She knows she's got to run it. Whitney looked pretty solid. She had a little bit of a bobble at 3-ball. Looking
nice
pretty
start.
good.
Whoa, little tail there. Good for.
I mean, just almost like it's automatic.
Well, these girls. I mean, these girls are skiing with extreme confidence. A little breeze just kicked up there. Yeah, so those girls both ran that with a little bit of a headwind, and it's going to be a tailwind 39.
Tailwind just kicked up.
And not. I mean, for our viewers at home, they can barely even see the ripple on the water, but we are feeling the breeze. We're feeling the breeze more on our body than we're seeing on the water.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
And it feels nice, I'd like to report. But if I'm skiing, I don't really want that breeze on my back.
Yeah, not
39.
right now. But, okay, so Whitney McClintock, 4.5 at 39 this morning in the previous round, when honestly we know she was going for it. There was no question about whether she was holding up or not. Did not attempt 39 in the first round because she didn't need to against Kate Adrianson. So technically we can report that Whitney McClintock has not run 39 yet today.
Regina, on the other hand,
yeah,
made
Regina on the other
like
hand has
it
run
off.
it once. Didn't run it the other time. So it's a little bit of we're seeing 39 a little more at play here for both of these girls. So
I'd like to see them both get through this pass. I want to see a showdown at 41.
It'll make it exciting, absolutely. So here we go. Whitney McClintock, 39.5
Big
off.
one ball.
Big one, not exactly the way she drew it up.
She needs
Great
to get a big
two-ball.
3.
Little narrow at 3.
Uh-oh.
She's in the same position she was, same position she got into in that previous round.
And you see her just kind of progressively get later and later, and I can almost guarantee that tailwind has a little bit of
A little to play with that. It was not a great one ball. She got in deep, and deep's okay as long as you don't get pulled out of it, and you can then manage your speed, keep that speed managed towards the shore on the other side. But she lost it a little bit into the wakes, and it brought her in quick to 2. But she did an amazing job. She put the tip of that ski in the water, the tail slid around. But again, it was almost a replica of what we saw then coming into the wakes out of 1. She started to lose that angle into 3, and she ended up narrow. We saw her kind of give a little extra reach at 3, and from there it was just the dominoes had started to fall, and that's pretty much what we saw her do against Manon. And, she managed to get a little stronger 4 and get outside of 5 and fall, but was unable to do that. She has left the proverbial door very open here for Regina. I think for Whitney, it needed to come down to being at 41. But we got to see how this unfolds.
You never know. I mean, obviously, it's well within Regina's grasp, but in some cases, when it's almost too close, then it becomes harder. So we'll see if she gets a good start here.
Absolutely.
She got a good one.
Got a good one.
She's got a good 2.
Oh, yeah.
She's looking early. Nice 3.
No, she's in this.
Uh-oh. She turned 4.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. That was close. Let's see what the judges
This is
call.
going to be a judge's call.
Because she was looking really, really good until 4-ball. She pulled a little long to make sure she got around it. 4 1/4, the official score.
No, that's the official
Oh,
boat
that's
score.
the boat. I'm sorry, my bad. Just stretched, and it looks like from here,
Yeah.
she did in fact get the ski around the buoy. Wow.
The
What a
official.
close race.
2016 California ProAm.
So there it is officially, folks. Regina Jaquist is your winner by the massive spread of 1/4 of a buoy and
Really,
the
really
thinnest
close.
of margins. And I'll tell you, that was we just about had to have a really big conversation about the rule change.
Yeah, yeah.
Where these two girls almost tied at
Tied.
4, at
Yep.
which point in every tournament leading up to this, Whitney would have been the winner.
Yep.
But obviously, hey, Regina knew we were under different rules.
Yes.
So she went conservative there. If I tie, we run off. But she got that quarter, and so amazing skiing by Regina. She keeps the streak alive.
Yeah.
It's going to put
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. She has won every tournament she skied in this year. We're down to one. One last opportunity for Whitney to feel like she can steal that one away, as we see Regina get embraced there by Dave Good. What an event.
Great skiing, man. And
Yeah.
at quarter buoy difference between the top 2 women of the event, that's about, well, it doesn't get tighter than that.
No, that was a very exciting finish. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get a word from our sponsors. We will be back with the men's event. We will fill you in very quickly before the event starts with the head-to-head format and the order, and we'll jump right into that, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
What does it take to go further? It takes a drive few possess, a commitment few can match, and a history to back it all up. We test for every open throttle, every all-day excursion. Nothing is left to chance. So when the water beckons, you can answer with confidence. We are GM Marine.
A truly great water ski is ultimately defined by its integration of shape and construction. Developing a flex tail with a new length-to-width ratio launched one of our most significant design and engineering efforts to date. With the new length-to-width ratio, Rev 6 becomes longer, providing more stability and speed out of the turn, while its flex tail helps turn the ski in perfect harmony with the arc of the turn.
Rooted in legendary Nautique ancestry, the Ski Nautique 200 closed bow is in a class of its own with a worldwide reputation for being the ultimate ski boat. A 3-event masterpiece, 19 world records have proven that when it's time to break boundaries, there is only one choice. The interior of the Ski Nautique offers more storage space than anything in its class, with elegant styling and comfort that pulls you in during the rare moments this boat doesn't have you on the edge of your ski. The all-new helm seat adds to the experience with a racing-inspired design for your perfect fit in a boat that screams ultimate performance. For 2016, Nautique has partnered with PCM and GM Marine Engine Technology to deliver the all-new H5 and H6 direct injection engines. Records have already fallen behind the smooth power delivered by these innovative engines in combination with the famous Ski Nautique pull. Feel the difference at the throttle with a perfect combination of horsepower and torque, tuned specifically for performance that further improves your Ski Nautique. On the world stage, the Ski Nautique 200's unrivaled 3-event performance pulls water skiing's most prestigious events, including the Masters Water Ski Tournament, the Moomba Masters, and the Nautique US Open of Water Skiing. The Ski Nautique 200 hull was relentlessly tested and designed to deliver the best wakes and drivability for all 3 events. Creating the softest, flattest, most passable slalom wakes, transforming into the perfect trick table, and a strong, consistent pull off the ramp, it is the only boat on the water truly dedicated to 3-event performance. The Ski Nautique 200 closed bow. World records start here. In every corner of the globe, the Ski Nautique 200 open bow is put on a pedestal, celebrated by hardcore water skiers and connoisseurs alike. Bridging world record capabilities with maximized space that takes the next generation along, this boat builds a legacy that will continue to pass on a tradition on the water. On the world stage, the Ski Nautique 200's unrivaled 3-event performance pulls water skiing's most prestigious events, including the Masters Water Ski Tournament, the Moomba Masters, and the Nautique US Open of Water Skiing. The Ski Nautique features custom-tailored storage compartments for all of your gear and the extra room to share your passion in first-class comfort. Our all-new helm seat puts you in control with racing-inspired styling while maintaining the luxury and comfort you expect in a Nautique. For 2016, Nautique has partnered with PCM and GM Marine Engine Technology to deliver the all-new H5 and H6 direct injection engines. Records have already fallen behind the smooth power delivered by these innovative engines, in combination with the famous Ski Nautique pull. The Ski Nautique 200 hull was relentlessly tested and designed to deliver the best wakes and drivability for all three events. With the softest, flattest, most passable slalom wakes, transforming into the perfect trick table, and a strong consistent pull off the ramp, it is the only boat on the water truly dedicated to three-event performance. Ski Nautique 200 Open Bow, passing on a tradition of greatness.
What does it take to go further? It takes a drive few possess, a commitment few can match, and a history to back it all up. We test for every open throttle, every all-day excursion. Nothing is left to chance. So when the water beckons, you can answer with confidence. We are GM Marine.
A truly great water ski is ultimately defined by its integration of shape and construction. Developing a flex tail with a new length-to-width ratio launched one of our most significant design and engineering efforts to date. With the new length-to-width ratio, Rev 6 becomes longer, providing more stability and speed out of the turn, while its flex tail helps turn the ski in perfect harmony with the arc of the turn.
Rooted in legendary Nautique ancestry, the Ski Nautique 200 closed bow is in a class of its own with a worldwide reputation for being the ultimate ski boat. A three-event masterpiece. 19 world records have proven that when it's time to break boundaries, there is only one choice. The interior of the Ski Nautique offers more storage space than anything in its class, with elegant styling and comfort that pulls you in during the rare moments this boat doesn't have you on the edge of your ski. The all-new helm seat adds to the experience with a racing-inspired design for your perfect fit in a boat that screams ultimate performance. For 2016, Nautique has partnered with PCM and GM Marine Engine Technology to deliver the all-new H5 and H6 direct injection engines. Records have already fallen behind the smooth power delivered by these innovative engines in combination with the famous Ski Nautique pull. Feel the difference at the throttle with a perfect combination of horsepower and torque, tuned specifically for performance that further improves your Ski Nautique. On the world stage, the Ski Nautique 200's unrivaled 3-event performance pulls water skiing's most prestigious events, including the Masters Water Ski Tournament, the Moomba Masters, and the Nautique US Open of Water Skiing. The Ski Nautique 200 hull was relentlessly tested and designed to deliver the best wakes and drivability for all 3 events. Creating the softest, flattest, most passable slalom wakes, transforming into the perfect trick table, and a strong, consistent pull off the ramp, it is the only boat on the water truly dedicated to 3-event performance. The Ski Nautique 200 closed bow. World records start here. In every corner of the globe, the Ski Nautique 200 open bow is put on a pedestal, celebrated by hardcore water skiers and connoisseurs alike. Bridging world record capabilities with maximized space that takes the next generation along, this boat builds a legacy that will continue to pass on a tradition on the water. On the world stage, the Ski Nautique 200's unrivaled 3-event performance pulls water skiing's most prestigious events, including the Masters Water Ski Tournament, the Moomba Masters, and the Nautique US Open of Water Skiing. The Ski Nautique features custom-tailored storage compartments for all of your gear and the extra room to share your passion in first-class comfort. Our all-new helm seat puts you in control with racing-inspired styling while maintaining the luxury and comfort you expect in a Nautique. For 2016, Nautique has partnered with PCM and GM Marine Engine Technology to deliver the all-new H5 and H6 direct injection engines. Records have already fallen behind the smooth power delivered by these innovative engines, in combination with the famous Ski Nautique pull. The Ski Nautique 200 hull was relentlessly tested and designed to deliver the best wakes and drivability for all 3 events. With the softest, flattest, most passable slalom wakes, transforming into the perfect trick table, and a strong, consistent pull off the ramp, it is the only boat on the water truly dedicated to 3-event performance. Ski Nautique 200 Open Bow, passing on a tradition of greatness.
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting everything together here. Sorry for the delay there, folks. We had a bit of a snafu with our judging crew, just getting some people shuffled around here to the difference between moving in from women's to men's event. But we're getting everybody into place. I do want to give just a shout out to our people at home. If you're noticing that the quality of the webcast is not quite what it was yesterday, we are having a little issue with the internet, and so to guarantee that you guys are getting footage and we're able to stay live the whole time, we've had to lower that back a little bit. If it changes, we'll bump it up, but for whatever reason, we've just been struggling with that a little bit today. But we're here. We're going to get you through it. I'll make sure that Marcus is going to join me in a minute, and myself, we will try to make sure that we break through any visual cues in terms of little blips here and there that you may miss. We will certainly fill in the blanks. As you can see, there is the big Brian Detrick, our number one seed for the men's event yesterday for the cumulative scoring. One of our local California guys that has really been itching to show the world he's supposed to be here and he's supposed to be ready to go. You can see he's going to be skiing against Nick Parsons there, standing on the dock to your far left of your screen. We call him the Yeti. We're going to go ahead and bring Brian Detrick in. Now, Brian being the top seed in this pairing, we're going to assume that he chose to go first and take the quarter buoy advantage. And we are going to assume then that Nick Parsons, having the choice between the red or the blue boat, chose the blue boat, which I believe Will Bush is driving the blue boat, and we have Greg Badal in the red boat. So the truth of the matter is a hair's difference between the two drivers or the two boats, and I think the athletes are just choosing maybe the boat that they possibly skied better behind yesterday in one of the earlier rounds, or just maybe a driver that they've had more practice sets behind or whatever. But we really have not seen boat and driver become an issue at all through either the big dog or the women's skiing, so I don't assume it's going to be one here as well. So yesterday, Brian Detrick, two big scores, one at 41, followed it up with a 3 at 41, so he had a cumulative score of 2. On the other side of that, Nick Parsons had a very unfortunate first round with 3 at 39, but he followed up with a very big 2 at 41, and that 2 at 41 was huge in the end because Will Asher, who had a 3 at 39 as well and tied Nick in that first round, was only able to get 1 at 41 and ended up being the first person out. So it really came down to that extra buoy at 41.5 off for Nick Parsons made all the difference in the world, and he went from being outside and sitting on the shore this morning watching these guys ski to bumping Will Asher out of that spot and getting himself in here with an opportunity to go against Detrick. And, quite honestly, coming into the event with both Nate Smith and Freddie Winter sitting on the shore, it has put it put a lot of expectations, I think, on Will Asher, and we were all shocked, and as I know that Will and all his fans are shocked, that he's not in this 8-man final. But on the water right now, the man that nudged him out, Nick Parsons, is in here with a starting line length of 32 off. Nick skiing on the new D3 Arc, has been working with Will Bush to try to help the progression of the ski. And Nick had an interesting situation this year. For those of you who tuned in, I apologize for repeating the story, but for those who haven't heard it, I'll make it brief. But Nick had a situation where his ski was stolen out of his car earlier this spring, and he was at a moment in his life where he'd already switched over to the D3, actually come back, if you will, to the D3 fold. He started out on D3 years ago, but he was using good power shells, using both the front and rear double boots, if you will, double hard shells, and the ski was stolen, and obviously then with the ski being stolen, his bindings got stolen along with it. But Nick decided that he had been thinking about moving back to a rear kicker, and decided that after watching some of the skiing that Nate Smith had done using the T-Factor D3 binding, that it was the right time for him to go ahead and make that switch. So not only was he switching back to that D3 ski and having to get used to that, he then went so far as to move into a T-Factor rubber front boot and a rear toe kick. And the end result of that is we've seen him be a little inconsistent this year, but that 2 at 41 yesterday looked strong, and it's obviously keeps him in the conversation all the way through here. He could be a threat to Brian Detrick, but here we see Brian, 35 off, coming in. Brian Detrick, been skiing very strong all season long, but has not had good finishes in the pro events that he's skied in. I believe he's got a 9th and a 12th this year in his elite events that he skied, but this is a man who's run 5 at 41, I know of at least 3 times, if not 4 or 5 times this year. So it has to be a point of frustration for him that he has skied so strongly in scores, but then struggled at the elite pro events with the other guys there on the dock. And I know I know the type of competitor that Brian is. I know he's looking to show these guys, as he did yesterday by coming in here as the number 1 seed, hey guys, I am legit. These scores are real. I am a threat. And you need to be, keeping your eye on me. And so he did a great job with that yesterday. We're going to see if he can follow through today as we see Nick Parsons sitting down there. It was interesting with the camera angle from the boat there, as we saw Brian and Nick on that end. Brian choosing not to look Nick's way. He was focusing on what he was doing what looked like maybe a little visualization. I can guarantee you if you open that door, if you make eye contact with Nick Parsons, he is going to talk to you. And he'll probably say something silly, and he could easily get Brian out of his rhythm. And so Brian very wisely just keeping his eyes on the back of his boat, closing his eyes, doing his visualization, and Nick being the kind of guy that's respectful that isn't going to, yak over the top of it. So here we go. Nick Parsons, 35 off. They call him the Yeti. I don't have a good explanation for that. He does have a lot of facial hair right now, but the nickname came long before that. And as we can see, nice, clean run through the 35 off. Honestly, with the quality of the event that we have today, with how well we've seen the women ski today, the quality of the boats, the quality of the drivers, the quality of the site, I don't think we're going to really start having conversations about silly things happening until we get these guys to 39. So right now we're just going to kind of sit back and enjoy these guys warming up for their first rides on the lake today. And we are going to go 8 to 4 to 2 and crown a champion. Now, for those of you who may not have been tuned in watching the women, obviously the gentlemen got here today through cumulative scoring through the first 2 rounds yesterday. And I'll run through that seating here as we go through each. I'll call it out as we, in this seating we have Brian Detrick, who was our number 1 seed. Nick Parsons is number 8. Those seeds are important because in this round, the top seed gets to choose either to go first or second, and the second skier has to beat the first, or the top seed can choose which boat and driver he prefers, but that leaves the alternative choice then to the second skier. That goes through this round. It goes through the round of 4, but when we get to the final round, the second skier does not have to beat the first. If they tie, we run it off till we have a champion. It's a different twist this year that we haven't had before. Brian Detrick on the water, 38 off, coming back in here. Very smooth, right through it. That's the kind of confidence building pass that we would want to see Brian get. His, again, as he's drawing it up in his mind, that's almost exactly how he's put it out, and now he can sit down in the water and not worry about how that pass did or didn't go, but he can be thinking about the pass that he's getting ready to work on. I'm actively trying to find my partner in crime, Marcus here, who wandered off to use the loo and maybe grab a bite to eat, and he's but he'll be back here any minute. I'm sure he hears the boat run, and he's not. Yep, I see him. He's headed this way. He's not going to want to miss the action, so we'll get Marcus up here and maybe break down a little bit of these guys' technique, and we'll get it from a master rather than a jumper. But there you go. You see Brian electing to get up on the back of the boat, stay warm. We've mentioned it before. The water is quite cool. We have this is a shallow lake that gets filled with well water. The well water obviously is cool, and we've had cooler nights. So a lot of the athletes have made efforts to try and stay warm on the ends by either climbing up on the back or by wearing rash guards on top. Marcus Brown now joining me.
Apologize.
No worries.
Nikki P, 38 off.
Absolutely. Brian has looked very strong, very solid, rolled right through that 38 off just like he wanted to. Let's see what Nick Parsons has in store for us.
Nice one. Coming inside into 3, a little too quick.
A little quick.
Yeah, it's going to bite him at 39 if he does the same thing.
Nick has a tendency to do that, what I kind of call an over the top, where he'll swing that outside arm, especially on his 135 side. So it'll be his right arm. You'll kind of see him swing it out over the top and bring it down to the handle, rather than bring it, say, horizontally across his body, or even from down low up. And sometimes that is a signifier of he's dropping his head and shoulders into the turn.
What we talked about earlier, that if you want to move the ski effectively, you've got to carve. And you've got to set an edge, and you've got to increase an edge or decrease an edge, wherever you want ski to go. But if you come over the top, that does what we talked about earlier. It drops the head, brings the inside shoulder in, and oftentimes it doesn't get the result that you actually think it's going to do. It's kind of counterintuitive.
Well, I mean, is there any sport that is more, maybe golf, that's more counterintuitive
Probably
than
not.
water skiing? Every natural instinct for most human beings, excluding Nate Smith, your natural instinct is to do exactly the wrong thing
Opposite,
at all
yeah.
times, and
What you
it's
should
like it's like having to ride a bicycle where the steering wheel has been switched on you.
Yeah.
You have to get comfortable with that, and then I think there are people like Nate Smith who literally they're just fortunate enough their natural instincts happen to align perfectly with what water skiing is. Okay, Brian Detrick, 39.5 off, a little slow out of 1. He's got to get through this pass to put some pressure on.
Ooh, tail turn 3.
Oh boy, that is going to put him in a lot of trouble.
Wow.
Lot of frustration there from Brian. He is that. This has been now. He's not out. He's not out.
He's not out.
This is Nick only ran 3 at 39 yesterday in the first round, but
Well, Detrick knows he left the door open,
he left it wide open.
but
Yeah.
he's got to just sit there and hope.
Well, and this goes back to, unfortunately, what I've been talking about with Brian, coming in the number 1 seed. This is a man who is absolutely capable, hands down, no question. Everybody knows it. He knows it. But he has just had some unfortunate luck as we've gotten into later points of the tournament, finishing the event. He's starting strong. He's got to finish strong. I have not one concern, not one worry that he's gonna figure it out.
He's got it.
He's got it. He's
got the
gonna
potential.
figure it out. But he's got to. Whether it's a mental aspect or it's just bad luck, there's an element here that he's got to get straight.
We've seen this before. It's not the first time you've seen greatness in an athlete, but then the difficulty to follow through. And I mean, one of my good friends and one of my competitors since I was 10, Chris Parrish, has been in this situation before where he's had a lot of talent and he can have a phenomenal knock it out of the round park round, and just like Detrick, top seed going into this head to head, but then fall short when he wants to really, really nail it. And
well, and I made the comment, and I haven't gone through all the brackets yet. We're just going to stay focused on this one right now, especially this late in the game. But I made the comment that Nick Parsons is dangerous to Brian Detrick because, Brian ran 1 at 41 yesterday, and he ran 3 at 41. But Parsons ran that 2, which is right in there, so that put a lot of pressure on Brian, and maybe that got to him. But let's see what Parsons can do.
This is tough because Nick knows that it's within his grasp. Oh, he did not get a good 1. Needs a big 2. He got it.
Got a
Needs
big 2.
decent 3. He has got
He's
enough
got it.
to advance. He is moving on.
And he is excited. Ladies and gentlemen, that is, on paper, it is extremely rare that you would see a number 8 beat a number 1.
That's pretty unbelievable.
But again, and I'm glad I mentioned it. Nick Parsons is a dangerous guy right now. Now you look at that and say, well, he only ran 4 at 39. These guys it's going to take 4 at 31 to win this thing. It might.
Yeah.
It might. But Nick ran what he needed to run.
Yep.
And I'm telling you.
Well, this matchup could have easily taken 4 at 41 to win.
It could have, yeah. So huge upset there for Nick Parsons, who I know is excited. He has struggled as well this year. We made I've already told the story about losing his bindings. he switched ski companies. He just made these huge monumental changes all at once. And, you know, for here, I think maybe a little validation for him to say, see, I did do the right thing. This is, you know, I mean,
Yep.
athletes need that
Affirmation.
affirmation. We need that more than my 7-year-old son and my 2-year-old son. We as adults, we as athletes, you need that constant
reinforcement.
affirmation and positive reinforcement all the time. Okay, so we are now going into our number 2 and number 7 seed. And this is going to be Jason McClintock, our number 2 seed, skiing against Joel Halley, our number 7 seed. And Joel, yesterday, I think, not quite skiing up to the level he wanted. He skied well enough.
Yeah.
But he didn't, you know, he ran the 39 one round, correct?
Yeah.
One round.
But I don't think that's a bad thing, especially with a guy like Joel. I think maybe if you leave yourself if you leave something left to be desired, leave something on the table the day before, a guy like Joel can kind of get serious today.
Well, and you know, okay, when we go right back to Nick. Sometimes sneaking in can builds this momentum that you can go through with. Whereas, you know, again, looking at Detrick, 2 big scores yesterday, and what you end up doing is standing on the dock saying, okay, all I got to do is what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? That's not how you did what you did yesterday.
You did not think like that going into yesterday's round.
So now, you know, you can – I'm not saying that's what happened to Brian.
No,
I can tell you that it has personally happened to me numerous times.
And you've obviously found a way to overcome that, for the most part, to overcome that mental battle.
Occasionally on weekends, yes. But again, it's a – the important factor here is this is something that happens to all athletes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing the beautiful ski nautique floating in the water down there. We've got some gentlemen running around on shore. We have had a camera go down. This is not a webcast camera, not a camera that we're using. Unfortunately, it's actually one of the tournament cameras that they're going to use for the gates. And they are scrambling right now to try and figure out if it's somebody kicked a plug or, you know, somebody in the crowd maybe stepped on something. We're going to get that sorted out. As you see, Greg Vidal down there, organizer of the event, driver of the event, and he's got a radio in his hand, and he's trying to help his people through here and see if we can figure out what happens. We see Joel Halley sitting on the back of the red boat with Greg, meaning that Jason McClintock is going to be on the blue boat with Will Bush. And we will stay tuned on. So I'll tell you what, let's take this moment to kind of go through our brackets. I'm working from memory right here. I didn't keep my paperwork from yesterday that had all the scores on it. But we'll just go through what we've got here. This pairing is what we're going to call the bottom of the bottom half of the lower bracket, if you will. This is Jason McClintock and Joel Halley, our number 2 and number 7 seed. Our next pairing will be the bottom half of the top bracket. And our number 4, Stephen Neveu, who skied strong yesterday, followed by Carlo Elias at number 5. And then our final pairing will be the number 3 seeded Thomas DeGasperi versus the number 6 Daniel Edvarco. Now, Daniel Edvarco, I believe, was trying to remember if he ran 2.5 or 3 at well, he was our last skier off the dock yesterday, so he had a 3 at 41 in the first round and was the last guy that had an opportunity to, if he could have gotten a piece of 2 at 41, or actually just even tied Brian Detrick with a 1 at 41, they cumulatively would have tied, and Daniel Edvarco had a chance to come into today as the number 1 seeded skier. As the day went on, we were finishing the event late. I don't want to make excuses for him, and Daniel certainly at no point in time made any excuses for his final round skiing. But Daniel ran, I believe, 3.5 or 4 at 39, but he did it in a very difficult light. The sun got down low behind the trees. It was a shadow all the way across the lake, and he was, basically, I'm going to go ahead and say it, slightly disadvantaged over some of the guys that skied before him by the time he got down to that 39.5 off. So, unfortunately for him, sitting in a situation where he was trying to ski for that number 1 spot where he could have held, the top decision all the way through today for choosing to go first or second or choosing his boat. And in fact, because of the 3.5 or 4 at 39 that he ran, slid all the way down to the number 6 seed, and essentially finds himself in a position where Thomas de Gasperi is going to have the first choice or the quarter booty advantage if he wants it, and it's just kind of put Daniel in a position where he could have been in control going into this to now he's going to have to kind of fight his way through. But it is worth mentioning, as you'll notice, none of the names, 2 names obviously absent from this 8-man final, Freddie Winter and Nate Smith, both of whom are out with ankle injuries right now. Freddie Winter, I believe, did his ankle first over in England, I believe, and then Nate Smith maybe 2 weeks later did his. Nate Smith is here. He's been, for those of you who've been watching the webcast, he actually was my partner in crime for a little while. And then we had, we've seen him all weekend long in the boat. I know he's been out here in California for about 8 days. He said he's been nonstop boat judging. So, you know, we appreciate that Nate's the kind of guy that comes out and even when he's not skiing, he's supporting these guys and girls and you know, continuing to help the sport. Freddie Winter, I know, is back home in England, has had surgery on the ankle. It sounded like all went well. He's got a very positive outlook, and he's apparently going to be in physical therapy and rehab, is trying to get his strength back and all the movement and flexibility, and we expect both he and Nate to get back here and as we would expect, to be a part of these finals and these conversations as we go forward. We wish both of them the best of luck. I got Marcus back in here. Marcus, what's the word?
Well, I don't really know what's going on with the camera, but they're trying to sort it out at the moment.
Okay.
Looks like we're gonna get underway.
Okay, maybe they got a fix here, so we're gonna do a simulation, and I believe Greg Badal is going to run the simulation, meaning that Jason McClintock, when he had the choice, chose to go first, and Joel Halley decided that he was going to go with the organizer, Greg Badal, and that red nautique, and take his chances with that boat crew. So I think we have located the instigator for the problem on the gate camera there that went down, so we've either got it sorted or we're getting it sorted very quickly here, and we are going to run the simulation and get these guys underway as we see Joel Howley looking at the crowd. Got his Coble Water Ski School sticker on there, and riding the Conley, correct?
Riding the Conley.
Riding the Conley. So
you see it right there. You see that pickle fork, if you will, kind of similar to our new Pro Star design from a couple years back.
Not a lot of guys here this weekend on the Conley.
No, not a lot of guys. But Joel makes it look unbelievable.
He does.
And I know the Conley is a very capable ski. Obviously, by the way he skis on it. There's a few other guys out there, a couple juniors I saw at Nationals that do really well on that Conley.
I'm not 100% sure. I believe that April Coble might be skiing on that same ski.
Yeah, she is.
And
April, Seth Stisher.
Seth Stisher. So April announced her retirement this past winter from professional skiing, and we thought maybe she would not necessarily come out of retirement, but that she might decide to just ski in one event here, one event there. But when she announced her retirement, she said that it was a moment that she wanted to kind of dedicate back to give the time to her kids, and she has stuck with that decision. And so we've obviously missed having her and her personality around, and her husband Chris, obviously one of the best drivers in the world. We haven't seen him as much this year, but my gut tells me that as we go forward, we're going to see them
a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So and we look forward to that. They're both great people, and
I did see. I saw both at Nationals. I'm sure you did too.
I did.
We saw Chris do all three. So very capable, one of the best boat drivers in the world, and also avid skier.
Well, not only avid, but he's a heck of a skier in his own right, and he's really picked up on his slalom. He's skied in a couple of the Big Dog Master Men's event. Is probably an underrated jumper for the amount of time that he gets to practice, but does a great job.
balances the work life and the ski life and kids
and they
family
have a heck of a busy life running that ski school and family and all of that. Chris, as you said, is a 3-eventer. We'll just go ahead and say it.
Yep.
Tricks is his weak event. it's awful. But,
Pretty much.
But he
same
he
for most
tries
across
so
the board.
hard.
He
Yeah,
does.
No, it's
He
awesome.
does.
Okay, here we go. Jason McClintock. Number 2 ranked skier out of yesterday, had a 1 3/4 average, just behind Brian Dietrich. He choosing to come out first. Very nice. Very through there. And just to go back quickly to Chris, he knows that we love him and we tease him about his tricking.
Yeah.
So we do look
it's all
forward
in
to we look forward to getting him back here, and maybe if we poke at him a little bit, he'll feel like he's got to come
back and
himself.
defend himself. Exactly.
So there's the meaning behind there. There's a good picture of Joel Halley on your screen. You can see he has
changed his hair,
shaved the locks a little bit. He's got much more of a business look to him. Maybe he's here to do some business today. Looks like he could
looks like he means business.
He could either go run through 41 or sell you stocks. I'm not sure. I like that new look though. He's cleaned himself up a little bit. I'm gonna guess his folks are happy.
He does look a little unassuming.
He may have. He's been spending some time at the Koble Ski School. He may have. Some of the locals might have been giving him a hard time about that hair, and he decided to change it out a little bit. But Joel Halley is a guy that I don't want to put pressure on him, but I have big expectations. This is a young man that I think he has shown great potential.
I'd venture to say one of the quickest improved skiers that I've ever heard of.
That's a very fair. I think you got to between him and Stephen Neveu.
True.
Those two
him
guys.
And Steven, but I know for Joel specifically, he had never run a course, or I think he ran 32 off for the first time not that long ago. And his progression, his rate of progression is just like off the charts, much like Steven.
Well, and you see it a little bit in Joel's. And again, I love the way you said it yesterday. There's style and there's technique, and if we can kind of think about style, about how I'm going to say how pretty he skis versus technique, about how efficiently he skis. Joel does not have a beautiful style.
Yep.
But from a technique standpoint, he gets the job done. He's extremely strong, and so that's not uncommon that where you see, I'm going to say, style issues with guys that get a later start and who do progress very quickly, because they learn very quickly that skiing pretty doesn't necessarily mean buoys.
Exactly.
And so Joel has molded that into his own style. But I will also tell you that I have been on the tournament shoreline and seen Joel run deep 41s, and he made it very stylish.
Yeah.
But again, it may not necessarily be what you'd sketch out on paper the perfect stacked position should be. But
what I will say is you're getting to the core values, which are the fundamentals. And what are the proper fundamentals? And Joel's obviously got some of those fundamentals on lockdown.
Absolutely. So to me, this again is a very dangerous pairing. As we saw, Nick Parsons upset Brian Dietrich. Joel Halley and Jason McClintock. Jason McClintock skied very strong yesterday. Had two very good, I believe he ran 39 both rounds, and is skiing very well. He's going to need to keep that momentum going. Joel Halley ran the 39 one round, but I didn't necessarily feel like he was quite as settled in as I'd like to see him. If he gets settled in, and if Jason doesn't stay up there in that, I'm going to say 95th percentile, we could see another upset here.
Yep.
We could see an issue. So I think Jason McClintock is very aware of that. I had a conversation with Jason last night, and one of the things I appreciate him, he's very honest, and he just said, I want to go out first, and I want to go do my deal.
Yep.
I want to just go.
And not worry about what the other guy's doing.
Exactly. So he is absolutely, Jason is going to be absolutely focused on his job, and if he runs 39 and Joel doesn't, then he'll look at that and say, okay, relief, and I'm going to try 41. But I don't think he has any expectations except for these guys to follow one after the other here.
One thing that we don't always get, or the people at home don't always get to see, is how the skier's been skiing lately. And if you look at Jason McClintock, he's ran 5 at 41 recently. He's hot. Joel Halley can do that. And I don't know how he's been skiing lately, but I don't know if he's been quite as hot.
No.
So he could be climbing as we speak.
Right.
Each round he could be progressing, getting stronger, getting more confident. As you see him here at 35 off from the boat, he's looking really smooth and stacked through the wakes. I mean, really easy for all the, crap I like to give him because I'm friends with him. Man, he made that look easy as anybody else.
He does. And I mean, again, that goes back to those fundamentals, those basics in terms of, you'll see him be a little looser with his hips. He's not afraid before the buoy to allow his hips to drop back a little bit. But as he comes through, he'll almost use that momentum, though, of his hips being behind him a little bit as he's making the turn. He'll bring those hips around, and it helps create some rotation and gets that ski moving. If Joel has a downfall, it's that to initiate that turn, rather than do it with his hips where he brings them from behind to forward, you'll see him lean that shoulder and head in, which, again, we hate to be repetitive for our viewers, but as the upper body folds in, it almost pushes the lower body and the ski out off his edge. You get a long turn radius. The ski doesn't get between you and the boat. And then what is the most important fundamental, in my opinion, in skiing is you're not entering the whitewash and coming into the first wake stacked.
Yep.
You're
out of
broken.
position.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
well, we'll see what Jason can do here. He's obviously wanted to go out first to kind of be able to ski his game. He's got a chance here, 11 meters, 38 off. He's already had some good rounds before. Oh, big two. He's known for doing that from time to time. You see him back in the game at 5 like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Similar to what we saw Kate Adrianson do at 35 off in the head earlier.
Yeah, and both Kate and Jason got through that. I do want to make a correction on something I said yesterday. I made the comment that Jason had a 2-year-old son, Jackson. That was correct, but I left out the fact that he has a 2-month-old daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And his wife, Jamie, I'm sure has both the kids right now. And but the conversation yesterday was about what a proud papa he was and how having those children come into your life when you have, obviously, again, all the skiers have essentially other responsibilities, whether it's they're in school, they have a job, they're coaching. Everybody is filling their day with other opportunities to basically making income. Yep. And then when you add on to that babies, especially young babies, and now these guys with babies that are 20 months apart.
That's a lot. That's a big burden.
That's a.
I wouldn't say burden.
But you said burden.
I know. I'm sorry. My
it's a big job. It's a big responsibility. It's a big deal. And so hats off to him that not only is he skiing well, he's skiing well with all of that going on at home.
Agreed.
And I'm sure he would like to say thanks to his wife, Jamie, who is obviously carrying a lot of that load.
Pulling the weight this weekend.
Absolutely. Okay, so here we are. Joel Howley, 38 off. Very nice out of 1. Came up a little short at 2 there. Big 3. Interesting pairing because we've got 2 lefties against each other. And so you kind of, I think with lefties, you almost tend to see similar strengths, similar weaknesses. They tend to be more onside dominant, offside strugglers. We saw Jason, dealing with that at 2-ball 38. So I feel.
And back to the other thing we talked about, not to interrupt, but Jason McClintock, some people at home may not know, he's one of the best trickers in the world. And he's been trick skiing as long as he's been slalom skiing. Joel Howley, probably not so much. And so you see, we talked about earlier, Jason, yes, they both kind of struggle sometimes on the offside, but Jason tends to use his hips better to initiate the movements.
Yeah.
I think out of, that sensation, that maybe higher sensitivity level from being a trick skier, growing up on a trick ski and being able to edge and carve and feel.
Well, and that's one of the things that I think is important to all our viewers at home, that they may have children and they want their kids to be slalom skiers. If you want your kid to be a good slalom skier, teach them how to trick, teach them how to jump. Let them do those other disciplines when they're kids, because the experience is invaluable. It carries over. It teaches them things that you can't learn by doing just one activity over and over. It's like kids that play baseball. They should also play basketball. They should also run track. They should do other things. Okay, here we go. Jason McClintock, 39.5 off. This is the nitty-gritty.
He wants to run it.
He's got to run it to really put the pressure on.
Nice
big 2-ball.
Looking good, man.
Nice 3.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, tail in the 4, but he's a lefty. He's going to get a big
Oh.
5 here. He did not get what he needed.
Wow.
Wow, he got that.
I mean, to still run 39 after a 4-ball and a 5-ball like that is pretty impressive. You're going to see here on the replay, he fell off the back of the ski at 4. Watch 2-ball. Very balanced, very tight turn. 4-ball, he ends up rotating and falling off the back right there. He's late at 5. Does the same thing here, but he gets it back down and he gets across and gets around 6.
So a couple years ago, I made a comment on the air that I received some grief over, which was to run 39.5 off, you have to have 3 good turns. Now, you can't have 2 awful turns, but you have to have 3 good turns. For all those people that gave me grief,
Yeah.
he just ran it with 2
Three-
good turns.
Yeah, 2
2
turns,
ball.
exactly.
And 3-ball.
Yep.
The others weren't bad. They weren't awful.
They just weren't good.
But they weren't good
Yeah.
turns. 1-ball was not a good turn. 4-ball was not a good turn. 5-ball was not a good turn. 6-ball was an awful turn. So 2 good turns got him through that pass.
The other thing I will say, you talk about Joe Howley's hips as he comes around the island. Jason, being a trick skier, being a jumper, he's learned to use his hips not just to edge the ski, but to move dynamically towards the wake.
Towards the wake.
And that gets you your acceleration
Well,
and makes
and
up time.
I think that is tricking in its living embodiment, is that moving the hips to the wake. So here we go. Deep
Big
out of
one.
1. He's going to need a 2-ball here. He's got it.
He's back in the game.
Back in the game. Good 3.
Wow.
Good 4.
Uh-oh.
You got to be kidding me.
Oh, my gosh.
Does he
That
make
is-
it?
That's unbelievable, dude.
Okay,
I mean,
apparently we have the right pairing here.
we do. Man, did you see? He was early in the game, and at 5-ball, he just ends up having a brain fart out the back, lots of slack, and somehow he gets out the exit gates.
Now, lost his hips a little bit there out of 1, but he didn't lose his direction. So that turn didn't hurt him. But right here out of 5, he
Man, that's unbelievable. So one thing you just mentioned that happens to a lot of people is he lost his hips. So when the hips fall back, I want to talk about being stacked, because everybody talks about stacked. Nobody really necessarily identifies or defines it.
Okay.
Stacked is just a shape, in my opinion. It's a body shape, which means that your hips are over your feet, shoulders are over your hips, more or less.
Okay.
That's the most efficient way to get your weight distributed on the skis properly.
Well, it's obviously it's why when we stand on the ground,
We're
we stand with
standing
our hips over our
stacked.
feet and our shoulders over our hips.
But it's not necessary. And what I mean by that is Joel Howley, with his hips back, he ends up having to counter that by bringing his shoulders forward. So he gets his weight distributed evenly on the ski, but it's a bad position. It's not the right shape.
It's not as efficient.
It's not as efficient, but your ski, here we go.
Here we go, 41
off.
and a half off, folks.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
You can tell right there he was confident. Yesterday he had a 3 at 41, and you see right here coming through the gates, he's trying to get down to 3. He's trying to run the whole pass at 1 ball.
Wow, he took a big bite. Did you see? I'm
The whole
not sure if
ski's in
there
the
was.
water.
Yeah, literally the entire ski was in the water at the finish of this turn. Let's see if we can maybe get the finish of this turn in slow motion as he comes around here. Watch how much of this front of the ski he got put in, and I can't think he meant to do that.
No.
Of course, that's happening late. At that point in time, the tail has already slid around, and that's what actually brought the front in. So, ladies and gentlemen,
that kind of leaves the door open.
No, it's not open. This is like leaving the warehouse doors open. You could drive a Mack truck through this.
So
you've got a left foot forward skier that's got to go get 1 buoy at 41 to move on.
Let's talk about the strategy. Let's go back to Jason's choice to go first. Now, does that come back and bite him in the butt a little bit? Because
this is the example of when going first can kill you. Now, I mean, Joel's still got to go do this. Joel falls down around this first buoy or misses his gates or some crazy mishap like that, and Joel Howley's, he's swimming in, beating his head on a rock.
This is not a gimme, but it's essentially he's got this.
This is about as much of a gimme as you can give him.
And he
there
advances.
He goes. Yeah. So there we have our second upset of the day. We are 2 for 2 on upsets with Joel Howley, our number 7 seed, going in ahead of Jason McClintock. And I'll tell you what, that's one of those moments for Jason McClintock where the plane ride home is torture, because all you have is the rumbling of the engines and the time to sit there and relive that about 48,000 times on the ride home. And, I know that's
tough.
frustrating. But I will say this to Jason McClintock, if he ever watches the video and goes with this, you went for it, buddy.
Yep.
You didn't lose this by being conservative.
You left everything
went
out
for
there.
it. So when you're on that plane ride and you're going home and you're reliving it and you're beating yourself up, remember, you put all your cards on the table and you went for it. And in my opinion, that's always the way to play the game. So
I think you just kind of hit the nail on the head. The reason that I think a lot of these athletes do this sport is because it's challenging. It's definitely a worthwhile endeavor. You meet a lot of cool people. You get to go to a lot of cool places in the world. But at the end of the day, you want to know that when you put your effort, you sacrifice your time for years for events like this, that when you show up and you walk off the site to go home, that you did everything you could.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people will I don't want to necessarily say take for granted, but they may not be attuned to, is that, we talk about the cost of an event, right? So I bought a plane ticket to, let's say I'm skiing in the event. I paid a $300 entry fee. I bought a plane ticket. I've got to have a hotel room. I've got to have a rental car. Maybe you and I split a rental car in a room, but you can still see that it's going to cost you $1,000. That's true. $1,000 to come in here. They may not rent us a car.
No.
But there's months of preparation up to that point.
Yep.
In gas bills and driving back and forth and, massages and doctors and all kinds of stuff that lead up to this. And that's what's at stake.
Exactly.
It's all there together. So here we are. Okay, next pairing, Stephen Neveu, Carlo Elias. This is going to be a good pairing.
Is Steven worried since he's the higher seed right now?
Well, no, I don't think
he's not
again,
worried
I
about
think
that.
all these guys understand that Steven's worried, but he's only worried about one thing, and that's the guy he's skiing against, Carlo Elias. He's not worried about the superstitions of, the top seeds dropping or not. Albeit interesting that in the women's event we saw all of our higher seeds move through.
Yeah.
We certainly,
haven't seen that yet.
haven't seen that yet. And
Are you yourself superstitious? Is Freddy Krueger, is there any superstitious bone in your body?
yes, there is.
Tell me, in what way does that show itself?
Primarily in the way I would get dressed for an event, from the standpoint of, everything has to be. I do everything in a certain order. Left knee sleeve always goes on first, then the right. But literally every piece of the equipment goes on a certain way. Not so much a superstitious act as a rhythmic, methodical act of this. Exactly. This is the process I go through to be ready. And when you start, for me, if I'm changing that process up, and to answer the question you're probably going to ask, yes, if I did accidentally put my back brace on out of order, I undress.
It feels
I
weird.
untape. I untape. I start over if I have time. Now, I've had situations where I hadn't had time. But, okay, here we are. This is going to be Carlo Elias. Both these guys skied very solid yesterday, very strong. This is going to be, I would say, a neck and neck pairing, if you will. These guys, I certainly wouldn't say that if Carlos Elias comes out of this with the win, technically on paper it would be considered an upset, a 5 beating a 4, but I don't think anybody at home or on site or amongst these two competitors could necessarily call it an upset. These guys are neck and neck right now.
It would be an upset based on the seeding out of this weekend thus far, but Carlo has been skiing. A lot of people may not know the name, but I've known Carlo and known of Carlo for at least 10 years. And he's been on the scene for at least a decade, maybe not at this level, but he has been a contender in some respect for a long time. Steven, obviously, has come on strong in the last 3 or 4 years. But
a little newer, yeah. So Carlo has been I'm going to say kind of a solid top 10 guy. We see him a lot in that 5th through 10th position. He steals a podium here and there. Don't believe he's ever had a professional win, but he's obviously one of these guys that's capable. And again, this weekend with Freddie and Nate being out, highest score we've seen so far is 3 at 41. Carlo is definitely capable of that. I think the biggest question for Carlo and Steven both is going to be, can they ski consistently enough at that high level? You know, can they come out here and run 2 or 3 at 41,